The Connecticut State Police Message Center is calling with an emergency message. Please listen and follow instructions as directed.
Holy hoaxes!
Guys, we got a shooting at the Shady Hook Elementary School in Newtown. That's what 911's ringing off the hook for.
6-7 Sandy Hook School. Caller's indicating she thinks there's someone shooting in the building.
The Sandy Hook Elementary School. Let's take a look here at the map. This school is at 12 Dickinson Drive. Here's what we know at this point. The call came in at 9:41 this morning of a shooting at the Sandy Hook Elementary School. State and local police are on the scene.
Holy bad news!
We're getting reports that Ryan Lanza shot his mother dead, who was a teacher at that school, and it was her kindergarten class that he targeted. We're also getting reports that Lanza's father was found dead in their house. Again, those reports, those are unconfirmed reports. That still needs to be clarified. 2 guns were found on the site of the shooting.
Many so-called credible sources for creating the news were later found to have reported false stories, which in turn has led to much confusion as to what really happened in the morning hours of December 14th.
The official report, a 6,700-page data dump deprived of any useful or pertinent information because of its plethora of redactions, because of its many inconsistencies and contradictions found inside. Even more questions have been raised.
This is the only official map. There is another colored map out there which is inaccurate and was released by another Sandy Hook investigation team, as they style themselves. And it has many inaccurate errors I've discovered on it. And one must wonder why someone would release a nicely colored map that is completely inaccurate. Regardless, this is the map.
Doors to the school were locked at 9:30 a.m. The school security protocol had recently been upgraded, requiring visitors to be individually admitted after visual and identification review by video monitor.
It was peaceful, everything was fine, everything was just normal, as a regular Friday morning would be to everyone, and then it all just changed.
Lanza drove to the school after shooting his mother dead in the home they shared.
Dead mother?
Now, the first time you kill somebody, that's the hardest. I don't give a shit if you're fucking Wyatt Earp or Jack the Ripper.
The official narrative, we have been told, begins at some point before 9:30 a.m. on Friday, December 14th, 2012, when 20-year-old Adam Lanza shot his mother in the head 4 times while she was in her bed sleeping.
We have just learned from several friends close to Nancy Lanza that she was not home in the house behind me where she was murdered by her own son for the 2.5 days before that killing took place.
On December 10th, 4 days prior to the event, Adam was said to have been bleeding after bumping his head. How he bumped his head or the severity of the injury is unknown. The following day, Nancy took her 10th vacation of the year, previously traveling to Boston, New York, Maine, Toronto, London, San Francisco, Nantucket, Charlotte, and Baltimore, according to Adam's aunt, Marcia Lanza.
Now, I've confirmed this information with a hotel. It's the Omni Mount Washington Hotel and Resort. It's in Bretton Woods, which is in northern New Hampshire.
That's the Omni Mount Washington Hotel.
So she checked into the hotel supposedly at 12:10 in the afternoon on December 11th. And she had dinner there at Stickney's by herself, supposedly. It was a very costly dinner. Nancy, after eating dinner that night that she arrived there on the 11th, moved on to a bar called The Cave at the hotel, where she drank alone until closing time at midnight. And the source that he interviewed, which presumably I always thought was probably the bartender who had served Nancy, they said that she had a glazed look on her face, much like she was drinking to forget rather than drinking to have a good time. The next night on the 12th, receipts show that Nancy dined again at Stickney's. And that night while she was eating, she sent a text message to her friend John Berquist of Sandy Hook. And the text talks about, you know, some elegantly dressed couple who had tattoos poking out of their evening wear. She checked out on December 13th. Her checkout time was 12:27 p.m.
That's where she stayed.
That on Tuesday, this is December 11th, Nancy Lanza checked in alone at 12:10 a.m. She checked out of this hotel. Again, it's about 4.5 hours drive away from here on Thursday. That is the 13th at 12:27 p.m. Again, a 4.5 hours drive. Now, I have been told from many friends close to the Lanza family that in recent years, Nancy Lanza did feel comfortable to leave her son alone, and that she would often leave her son Adam alone in the house on some short mini vacations. She would actually cook for him, make some pre-made meals because she didn't want him cooking when she was not in the house, but felt comfortable enough to leave him alone in the house. I've also spoken to a number of friends, and I have physically seen written communications between Nancy Lanza and her friends on Wednesday night, the latest one being about 11 o'clock Eastern time. In those communications, she talks about being away on a trip, that she is planning on coming back very soon, and appears to be in very good spirits, does not seem to be concerned about anything.
From there, she headed towards a restaurant called the Three Tomatoes in Lebanon, New Hampshire, where she met with an old friend who knew her mother and who she just had recently connected with that summer in 2012. I asked James Champion, Nancy's brother, about this person during our little text exchange and if he knew who it was, and he said that he did. He said that she was an old friend from high school. This caught me by surprise because since every account I've seen of this meeting specifically mentions that this person was a man who even talked about the possibility of visiting Nancy in Newtown with his wife. So when I brought up the contradiction in the media reports to James, that's when he ended our communication. So after leaving this restaurant at 2:30, the next known whereabouts of Nancy Lanza leads to the New Hampshire Commission of Liquor, which is like a liquor store located in Claremont, New Hampshire. So she went shopping at some outlet mall, then took the I-91 south to the Whole Foods in Connecticut from the liquor store, which would take about 2 hours and 14 minutes. So we can only surmise based on the official summary report that Nancy arrived home sometime around 10 p.m.
We know that Adam Lanza clearly had a lot of preparation that he had to do before he killed his mother over here and then went over to the school, which is about 5 miles away. Everyone was wondering, how could that be with his mother watching him with her, the two of them in this house? Well, now we are finding out that the mother was not home for 2.5 days and could have come home. The earliest would have been, according to this information, if she checks out of the hotel on Thursday. Again, just after noon. It's about a 4.5 hour drive. She always drove. You figure she wouldn't have been here until 5 o'clock at earliest, leaving him alone again for nearly 2.5 days.
Who was in that house with Adam and who was with Nancy? You know, what was Adam doing those 2.5 days?
Another person told agents the FBI had been the home a few years prior because Adam hacked into a government computer system when he was in 9th grade. The neighbor said Nancy Lanza believed the agents were from the CIA and FBI, and she told them at the time the agents thought Adam could have a job with them someday.
We were given exclusive information from the medical examiner that Nancy Lanza was found home. She was in her bedroom. She was shot 4 times in the head while she was in her pajamas asleep, and they believe that she was killed Friday morning by her son.
Mother, oh God, mother, blood, blood.
Nancy arrived home the night of December 13th. On the following morning, it is said she was shot 4 times while sleeping in her bed. It is interesting to note that in the on-scene call log, it is reported that the Savage .22 caliber rifle that Adam allegedly used had 3 live rounds and only 1 spent round, contradicting the photographs of the spent shell casings on the floor.
Then equipped himself with other guns his mother owned.
Forgiveness is between them and God. It's my job to arrange the meeting.
First killing his mother at the family home, authorities say the young man headed to the Sandy Hook Elementary School wearing a bulletproof vest. Authorities say he was armed with a semi-automatic assault rifle and 2 high-powered pistols like these.
He was equipped with 2 handguns and a Bushmaster .223 M4 carbine rifle.
Lanza was equipped with a bulletproof vest, Glock and 6-hour handguns, and a Bushmaster M4 carbine rifle.
Lanza was equipped with a bulletproof vest, Glock and 3 handguns, and a Bushmaster M4 carbine rifle with multiple 30-round magazines.
And a shotgun.
Now I have a machine gun.
Ho, ho, ho. Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
He left the gun he used to kill his mother with at home and proceeded his killing spree by taking his mother's car and driving to Sandy Hook Elementary School.
I'm going to kill them all, sir.
He was wearing black clothing, yellow earplugs, sunglasses, an olive green utility vest, and was carrying magazines for the rifle. Initial reports that he had been wearing body armor were incorrect.
Censored stated that she is a censored grade teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary. Censored stated that she arrived at school at 6:35 a.m. and parked in her usual parking spot near the front door. Censored stated that she observed a red car near the front doors that she recognized to be custodian Rick Thorne's vehicle.
Censored, went to Sandy Hook Elementary School to drop off a letter. Censored, had left at home. The letter was addressed to Censored, and it was to apologize for cheating on a test. Censored, stated, when she pulled into the parking lot, she did not notice anything unusual. She went to sign into the office at 9:31 a.m. She said there were a couple of parents walking around, because there was a gingerbread house baking activity going on inside the school and the parents were there to help out and participate. Censored, stated that after signing in, she went to room, Censored, which is just past the office and the library. She dropped off the letter to Censored to give to the teacher and went back to the office and signed out at 9:32 a.m. Censored, stated that there was an older man approximately 60 to 65 years old, dressed in dark clothing, with his hands in his pockets. He was walking in and shuffling. It did make her do a double and a triple take. Censored, stated that most people that come to the school are animated and jovial, and it struck her as odd that this man was not smiling and very flat in expression. Censored, stated that this was the only thing that struck her as odd that day at the school. Censored, stated that she left the parking lot at approximately 9:34. She stated that there were no passing cars, as she was coming in or out.
Once there, he exited the car with the 3 weapons, leaving a shotgun in the trunk.
The rifle reportedly was found in the vehicle.
Funny guy, Sally. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
I arrived at the school at 9:30 a.m. I was about 15 minutes early and had to be buzzed in and went to the office. I signed in and the secretary told me I could either wait at the office or go down to Censored room. I walked out of the main office and turned right, walked to the end of the hall and made another right and stood in the hallway at the entrance to Censored class. I looked in and saw they were still in the middle of their morning reading. I did not want to disturb them, so I just waited in the hallway. I think approximately 4 minutes had passed when I heard a very loud noise and I thought it had come from the hallway, where the main office is located. I could not tell what the noise was. It sounded like a janitor dropping a toolbox or a stack of metal folding chairs.
We heard like lots of bangs, and we thought that it was the custodian knocking stuff down.
A teacher was passing by me and I asked her what could that be. She just said I don't know and just kept walking. This teacher was walking past me in the direction where the main office is, where I had just walked from. This teacher was a middle-aged blonde female. This was the only person I came in contact with in the hallway, while waiting outside Censored classroom. After the first sound, I heard about 15 shots in rapid succession, and I recognized the sounds as gunfire based on my past experience, Censored. I immediately entered Censored classroom and told her there was a commotion in the hallway and we needed to get the children to the back of the classroom. Censored went to the door and locked it immediately. We all sat in the recessed area of the classroom where the children hang up their coats.
He shot out a glass entrance to enter the school.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I have the only gun on board. Welcome to Con Air.
At approximately 9:35 a.m., he arrived at the school and shot his way through the glass of the front door, gaining entrance into the school.
"9:36 a.m. As Censored arrives to the covered patio at the front of Sandy Hook, he hears gunfire inside the school and notices that the front entrance window is shot out. He calls 911 and runs down the sidewalk in the front of the school toward the playscape, east side, of School 2, Censored, classroom. No record of 911 call.
9 hours 36 minutes and 38 seconds a.m. A parent arrived at Sandy Hook and saw 9 children running from the school. At the time that she saw the children, she was at the stop sign of Dickinson Drive and the school parking lot. She walked to the front door of Sandy Hook and saw that the front window was shot out. She hears gunfire in the school. Another parent arrives at Sandy Hook shortly after. She also sees the children running near the stop sign. Both women meet at the front door and upon hearing gunfire, run to the dumpsters on the west side of the school to hide. 9 hours 36 minutes and 48 seconds a.m. One of the parents then calls 911 from behind the dumpsters.
No record of 911 call.
Units responding to Shady Hook School. The front glass has been broken out of the school. They're unsure why.
When I got out of the car and started walking towards the building, I noticed a car, in the drop-off area in front of the entrance, like a black hatchback, had all the doors open and like black sweatshirts strewn around it. And then I walked to the doorway and there was another mom standing there, and all the while I'm thinking to myself, the building is so quiet, and why is it so quiet? And I said to her, is something going on? And she goes, I don't know, but look. And she pointed and I looked, and next to the door where there's a buzzer, you have to buzz into the building, the whole plate glass window to the right of the door was shattered, and there was glass everywhere.
We do our Pledge of Allegiance at 9:10, and then 5 minutes later, the doors are locked, all the doors and all going around the whole building. And then when people come, they have to buzz. There's a camera. They push a button, it buzzes in the office, and we buzz them in.
How long has that been true?
4 or 5 years.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fiello.
Hello.
I understand you're the Director of School Facilities for the Newtown Board of Education?
Correct. Yes, I oversee the custodial and maintenance staff for all the schools.
Okay. So, if the school were to install a new security system, would you know about that?
Yeah.
You don't look to your attorney, just answer the question, sir.
You can look for me if you want to.
No, not for an answer.
I'm not hearing the answer. Yes, I would know about it.
Was there a new security system installed prior to December 14, 2012?
No, there was not.
When was the last security system installed at Sandy Hook Elementary School prior to December 14, 2012?
I believe it was installed sometime in 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
2007?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you have any idea why the media indicated that Principal Don Huxbrom had recently installed a new security system?
Just this year, Sandy Hook Elementary School put into place a security plan, making it mandatory for visitors to ring a doorbell and only be let in if staff recognized them through the video monitor. And if staff didn't recognize the visitor, he or she needed to present picture ID, sign in, and only then would be let into the school.
Every time we went to the school, you always had to press the button and they'd ask who you are to come in, so I don't know how anybody could just walk in.
So I don't know how he came in, because every time you go in, you have to ring a bell, and they can see you from the office, and they know who you are, and they let you in. So I don't know if it's somebody they knew.
Visitors to Sandy Hook after the shooting saw a camera on the wall at the entrance, but on the day of the shooting, it wasn't there.
Well, I think we have the police to require about video cameras at the Shady Hook school. There are no video cameras that record. The only camera they have is the people over the call button. Sorry, which does not record.
The first item on our agenda is the discussion and possible action on first the video surveillance policy.
In light of the events that occurred in Sandy Hook and discussions with the police, the district, and the town, we would like to be able in the future to monitor particularly the cameras that face the parking lot and the entrances to the schools, so that we might be perhaps forewarned of any future impending events.
Dawn Hawksprung, the principal, she had just installed this new security system. You couldn't walk into school after 9:30 in the morning. I mean, he basically shot through the glass to get in.
Which was supposed to be bulletproof glass.
Censored, was in the office when she heard a pop and glass breaking. Censored, stated that she immediately stood up and saw a white male standing in the lobby. Censored, stated that he was standing at the second pane of the office window from the door. Censored, stated that the shooter did not ask to be buzzed in, because she would have been the person to buzz anyone in.
And we looked at that and we said, well, this is really strange. And as soon as those words kind of came out of our mouth, we started hearing gunshots. I knew that it was gunfire, but I just ran.
The black vehicle this parent saw must have been the suspect vehicle, as it was parked exactly where she described seeing the black vehicle with all of the doors open. After a moment, she said she heard shooting after first noticing that the glass on the front doors had been shattered, which would indicate that the sound from inside of the school could be heard much easier, since she did not hear the intercom with the gunshots and screaming.
I thought I heard some gunshots.
We have established the point of entry. It was, I can tell you, it's believed he was not voluntarily let into the school at all, that he forced his way into the school, but that's as far as we can go on that.
Are there broken windows in the school?
Are there what? Yeah, quite frankly, that's something, again, if you take it out of context, it sounds suspicious, but as the rescue crews arrived, the active shooting teams entered the school. They entered the school from several different points, and it necessitated forcing their way in to gain access to perform the rescue and to save as many students and faculty as they possibly could. Hence, law enforcement broke many windows.
Seabrook knocked out the glass on a locked rear door so the officers could get inside.
We needed to break into the school to get in because the back doors are secured.
How did you get it open?
Broke out the window.
State police now saying that other officers, they broke glass to get inside the school and try and save those young kids. There was a thought and a thinking here that the gunman had fired bullets through the glass door to try and gain access inside. That is not the case based on what police are telling us here in Newtown.
Then we hid because everyone thought it was an animal. Then when we heard gunshots, that didn't sound like our army gunshots or our policeman gunshots or our school gunshots or animal control gunshots. We all hid into my teacher's office, and everyone was quiet, and my teacher, she saved the life, and she called Mr. Gunn, her husband, and he called the police.
Newtown 911, what's the location of your emergency? Sandy Hook School. Okay. My wife just texted me and said there's shooters in the... Okay, we have officers on scene at this time. They're clearing the school at the time.
As an educational assistant, I have flexibility to walk in and out of the classrooms, sometimes more than a teacher. So when I heard that noise, my initial reaction was, oh my goodness, one of our children is hurt. They broke the glass case in the front of the school, thinking, how did they do that? So I ran out into the hallway, and Rick Thorne, who is our janitor, was on day shift, and he had his phone, he was reaching for his phone, probably about the same time I was reaching for mine, and I heard him say, "It's shots fired." And he's talking, and I'm going, at that moment, he and something else turned me around and said, "Back into your classroom."
911, what's the location of emergency? I think we have shooting down at the Shady Hook Elementary School. Please get down here.
All right, stay on the line with me, sir. I don't want you to hang up. I'm going to connect you to Newtown, okay?
John 911, what's the location of your emergency?
Shady Hook Elementary School, 12 Dickinson Drive.
Okay, I got that. What's going on down there?
I believe they're shooting at the front glass. Something's going on.
All right, I want you to stay on the line with me. Where are you in the school?
I'm down the corridor.
All right, I want you to take cover. Jen, get the sergeant. All right, get everybody you can going down there. All right, let me get some information from you. What makes you think that?
The front glass was all shot out there. It kept going on.
Okay.
I'm on the line with a 911 call with you.
It's still happening.
All right, what about the students in the front of the building?
Dude, everything's locked up as far as I know. I'm not in the front.
All right, you're in lockdown?
Yeah, they're in lockdown.
Did you see anything out the window?
No, it's still going on. I can't get over there.
Okay, I don't want you to go over there. I want to know what's happening with the students, though, along the front corridors. This is in the front parking lot?
Yes. I'm not in the front. I'm actually down the other part. But I'm close.
Okay. Do you see anything or hear anything more?
I keep hearing shooting. I keep hearing popping.
All right, now who am I talking with right now?
It goes to the rest.
Pardon me? What's your name?
Rick Storm.
Rick Storm, all right. Rick, what is your position with the school?
I'm acting head custodian today.
Newtown, what's the address of the school?
12 Dickinson Drive.
Okay.
Something's happening.
Okay. Jen, hang up. I need you to get off that phone. All right, Rick. Rick?
Yes.
All right, what do you hear now?
Now it's silent.
Okay.
That's Riverside Road.
All units, the individual that I have on the phone is continuing to hear what he believes to be gunfire. All units are finding Shady Hook at this time. The shooting appears to have stopped. It is silent at this time. The school is in lockdown.
And at that time, all I was hearing was pop, 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 pop. It wasn't stopping. At that time, I did not realize that our teacher could not lock our door, but she had saw the custodian. She said our door won't lock, and he shooed her into our room, and she closed the door, and he came back. He stayed in the hallway, and he locked our doors. So now our doors are locked, and I'm sitting on the floor as close as I can be, and our students are huddled. And the shooting wasn't stopping.
All right. Now, when you say the school is in lockdown,
all doors are locked. Kids are in classrooms.
Okay. So at this time, you're defending in place.
Excuse me?
Okay. At this time, all the rooms are locked.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see anything out front before this started?
No. I was out all morning.
Where are you in the...
Okay, the gym teacher told me they saw shadows going past the gym.
Just now?
Yes.
All right. Now, are they running on the outside or the inside?
I would say that was the outside. There's still shooting going on, please.
All right, what about injuries at this time?
Excuse me?
What about injuries at this time?
I don't know of any injuries right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we got them. You're coming at me, down Grass Wood.
the driveway on the left side. Jen, I need you to call the state police. Just. This is it. It's still going on.
So I ran out into the hallway, and Rick Thorne, who is our janitor, was on day shift.
And he said, "Do you think it's gunshots?" And I said, I think it's gunshots.
And I heard him say, "It's shots fired." He went towards the front of the building as I went back in, and my understanding is that he checked everybody's door and continued to go down the hallway and tell people to go into a lockdown. People that had not heard it towards the back of the school. He stayed out in that hallway the entire time.
At that time, I did not realize that our teacher could not lock our door. But she had saw the custodian. She said our door won't lock. And he shooed her into our room. And she closed the door. And he came back. He stayed in the hallway and he locked our doors. So now our doors are locked.
Music teacher Mara Rose Christopic, 50, barricaded her fourth graders in a tiny supply closet during the rampage. Lanza arrived moments later, pounding and yelling "Let me in," while the students in Christopic's class quietly hid inside.
Did you hear him check the door?
I did. I did.
Because there are people that say the teachers thought that the killer checked the door, but you now believe...
I believe it was Rick.
On all of the doors?
On that side of the school, yes. I think he protected his job. We're his family.
Censored stated that she heard a male voice who she recognized to be the school janitor, Rick Thorne, trying to get the shooter to leave the building. The school custodian, Rick, directed Censored to close her door. Censored related that Rick had his phone in his hand and that the popping sound seemed to stop briefly and then began again. Censored stated that on December 14th around 9:30 or 9:40 she heard multiple gunshots. She looked out of her classroom and saw children in the hallway and shouted for them to get into a classroom. Censored stated that custodian, Rick Thorne, was running up the hallway toward the front of the school. Censored gathered the students to the corner, while she went to the gym doors. Censored stated that she used pre-cut circles to cover the windows and then locked the doors. One door was not locking and Rick was out in the hallway. She motioned to him to lock the door. I saw the janitor running to the entrance of the school, at which time I went back into the classroom. I then heard yelling, he, Censored, and it appeared he was talking to someone. Censored stated that, as she proceeded to her classroom door to lock it, she heard the custodian run down the hallway and state, "I think there's a shooter in the building." Censored stated she locked the door, and as she proceeded back towards her students, Censored started to knock on the door. Martin stated that she unlocked the door and quickly let Censored in. Censored stated that between 0940 and 0945 hours, she heard what sounded like gunshots outside her classroom. She said she looked outside her room into the hall and she saw Rick Thorne running toward the front of the school. Censored stated there were two kids in the hallway, so she pulled them into her room.
Thorne. Rick Thorne.
And he's quiet and private, and how do you honor someone who, is very private? And every time I see him in the hall, I smile. Every day I go back to work, I smile. And I thank him,
I think if you need more tears, you're going to need...
Rick, the custodian, was essentially just standing guard for your classroom.
I believe so. Yes, I believe him and Barbara Halstead played a huge part in saving many of the lives.
And I made brief eye contact with him, and it's like that split-second decision that you have, and I realized that my responsibility was to my classroom teacher and the students that I assist every day. So I went in, and at the time, I don't know what I said. Later on, she told me, I said, "What's the procedure?" Yes. When I said, "What's the procedure?" she then put the pieces together that it was more than glass.
Near the start of it, about 9:30, an 8-year-old boy faced bullets in a hallway as he tried to deliver attendance reports to the principal's office. He described what he saw to CBS 2's Lou Young.
Yes, I did. I saw some of the bullets going past the hall that I was right next to, and then a teacher pulled me into her classroom.
2 third graders, chosen as classroom helpers, were walking down the hallway to the office to deliver the morning attendance sheet as the shooting began. Teacher Abby Clements pulled both children into her classroom, where they hid.
Abby Clements states that when she entered the northwest hall of the school, Thorne had already run past her position towards the front lobby, some 20-30 yards away.
A teacher hiding in the math lab heard school janitor Rick Thorne yell, "Put the gun down." An aide heard gunshots. Thorne survived.
Censored, locked the classroom door and went into a closet. She explained that she heard a male voice that sounded like school janitor Rick Thorne yell, "Put the gun down."
It says here, a teacher hiding in the math lab heard the school janitor Rick Thorne unsuccessfully try to make Lanza leave the school. Thorne yelled, "Put the gun down." The teacher then heard more gunshots, but Thorne survived. And this is a Philly.com article. It's actually an Associated Press. And when you go to it, you end up going to a Yahoo News version of the story, which is an AP story from December 28th, 2013. And if you go down the page, you'll see a paragraph that says, teachers heard janitor Rick Thorne try to get Lanza to leave the school. One teacher who was hiding in a closet in the math lab heard Thorne yell, "Put the gun down." An aide said she heard gunfire and Thorne told her to close her door. Thorne survived. You'll see another statement. Custodian Rick Thorne ran through the hallways alerting classrooms. And there's note 56. And if you go to note 56, you'll find an article from December 14th, 2012, titled 20 Children, 6 Adults Killed at Connecticut School. If you go to that story, you'll find it's a WPVI story and Associated Press. And if you look at it, you'll find that Rick Thorne's name is not mentioned whatsoever in the story. And this is an interview report with Richard Thorne Jr., which is the janitor custodian Rick Thorne. And it says here, this subject was identified during this investigation as a custodian for Sandy Hook Elementary School. That on December 14th, 2012, at approximately 12:51 hours, I spoke with and obtained a written statement from Richard Thorne Jr. Thorne was identified during this investigation as a custodian for Sandy Hook Elementary. Richard Thorne stated that he is the evening shift custodian for Sandy Hook Elementary School and has been an employee of said school system for 8.5 years. Thorne stated today, December 14th, 2012, he arrived at the elementary school at approximately 06:20 hours. Thorne stated that the reason he was at the school during the day was because he was replacing the head custodian. Thorne stated that upon his arrival, he opened doors and took an oil reading. During this time, he did not observe anything unusual. Thorne stated that he did not know the time, but he was standing in the hallway by the custodian office when he heard a shot-type sound and glass breaking. Thorne stated that he immediately took his cellular telephone out of his pocket and ran towards the lobby and then down the hallway towards the gymnasium. Thorne stated that the reason why he proceeded towards the gym was to contact 911. Thorne stated that while he was speaking to a 911 dispatcher, he was instructing the teachers to stay in their classrooms and lock the doors. Thorne continued to relate that he could hear gunshots the entire time that he was speaking with the dispatcher. Thorne stated that the gunshots continued until the police arrived, that he immediately took his cellular telephone out of his pocket. Now this is very interesting because this official transcript states at the top, these are landline calls, and we were led to believe these were landline calls, but If you go down to 9:36 and 13 seconds in the morning, call number 3, this is Rick Thorne's call from his cell phone. I'm not sure how they can release such an inaccurate document with even the most inaccurate statement at the very top of it saying these are landline calls only. And the many inaccurate statements in the transcript have the story change from reality to myth. So he took his cellular phone out of his pocket and ran towards the lobby. And this would be pretty much exactly what he would have seen as he was heading towards the lobby. Now that door on the left with the circular windows, that's the cafeteria on the map. So he ran towards the lobby and then down the hallway towards the gymnasium. So if you look on the map, he would have turned around and returned past his office and further down towards the gym. Basically, this would have been around where he would have been standing. It is room number 22. An article written by someone named Dennis Hamill, Sandy Hook Heroes Give Us Hope for 2013. You'll see here, it says, jump for joy for a Sandy Hook elementary janitor named Rick Thorne, who did a Paul Revere run through the hallways after spotting the gunman shouting, "A gunman is coming, a gunman is coming." He checked to make sure the classroom doors were locked. After spotting the gunman, so he spotted the gunman, and he warned everyone. And then further down it does say that he checked to make sure the classroom doors were locked.
And this is the most suspicious thing about Rick Thorne, is that he has never, ever been interviewed.
So my next witness would be Kevin Anzalotti, who is the chief custodian at the Shady Hook Elementary School. Is Mr. Anzalotti here?
He's not.
Is there a reason why Mr. Anzalotti is not obeying his subpoena?
Is there a reason why you didn't go to court to enforce it or otherwise waive the subpoena or ask the commission to issue the subpoena?
I asked the commission to inquire of counsel whether he released this witness. He was told not to come. Well, Your Honor, I'm in a little bit of a disadvantage since my subpoenas were ignored by certain witnesses. I would ask that the commission take an inference that this witness would have given testimony in support of our case.
Burton and others have Thorne costing the gunman before they even have time to call 911, yelling at him to stop shooting and put the gun down. Abby Clement states that when she entered the northwest hall of the school, Thorne had already run past her position towards the front lobby, some 20-30 yards away. Thus, Clements has Thorne in the lobby only moments after the shooting began within the school. Yet, on the 911 call attributed to Thorne, he merely states, "I believe there's a shooting at the front glass. Something, I don't know what, is going on."
Abby Clements teaches 2nd grade.
Nobody cowered under a chair. Everybody took care of those kids the best that we knew how to in the insanity that was unfolding before us.
I'm sitting on the floor as close as I can be, and our students are huddled. And the shooting wasn't stopping.
Reading specialist Becky Vergala was in a meeting in a conference room near the school's front door.
We heard this loud noise, and I thought the roof was collapsing. It was a very loud, metallic sound, and I just looked at someone and said, what is that?
Upon hearing the gunshots, Principal Dawn Hochsprung, school psychologist Mary Sherlock, and a third woman ran out of a conference room to investigate.
She was in a meeting with the principal and some other people, and they heard shooting. They got up, they went out, and she had stayed in the conference room, and my understanding from her is the principal and other people got shot when they went out into the hallway, and she was the one who called 911.
So you talked to the person who called 911?
Yes, and she said that there was hundreds of shots, it sounded like.
Hundreds of shots?
That's what she said.
We do know that the beloved school principal, Dawn Hochsprung, and the school psychologist, Mary Sherlock, are among the victims.
2 staff members, Principal Dawn Hochsprung and the school psychologist, Mary Sherlock, heard the gunshots and immediately left the meeting they were in to investigate the source. They encountered the gunman and were then shot and killed.
Say hello to my little friend!
The second one ain't no fucking Mardi Gras either, but it's better than the first one, because you still feel the same thing, you know? Except it's more diluted, you know, it's better.
3 people got up, ran out into the hall. We were ready to follow them out to go investigate the sound. I was 3 steps away from going out into the hall when my principal, Dawn Hochsprung, shouted back, "Shooter, stay put."
A faculty member who was at the meeting said that the 3 women called out "Shooter, stay put," which alerted their colleagues to the danger and saved their lives. Diane Day, a school therapist who had been at the faculty meeting with Hochsprung, heard screaming, followed by more gunshots.
Dodge this.
Third one is easy, you leveled right off.
Principal Dawn Hochsprung was quite a bit younger than her husband George. But when they got married 10 years ago, both for the second time, she with 2 daughters and he with 3, George was marrying his boss.
Dawn and I met. She was an assistant principal at our school, at Rogers Park Middle School, and I was a 7th grade math teacher.
While Dawn was the principal at Shady Hook, George still taught at the middle school where they met.
One of the kids came up with a computer and said, "Something's happening at Shady Hook School and your wife's been killed." One put herself in jeopardy, and I have been angry about that. Angry until just now, today, when I met the 2 women that she told to go under shelter while she actually confronted the gunman. And she could have avoided that, and she didn't. I knew she wouldn't. So I'm not angry anymore. I'm not angry. I'm not angry anymore. They said, we're at the meeting. There were gunshots. Somebody shot the window. Somebody came into the, not into the office, but into the building, the foyer of the building. And Dawn told us to go hide. And she and at least 1 other teacher ran out and actually tried to subdue the killer. I don't know where that comes from. Dawn was 5 feet 2.
The Newtown Bee is the local newspaper for the small town of Newtown, Connecticut. In an article written by the Newtown Bee on the day of the shooting, it clearly stated that Shady Hook principal Dawn Hochsprung told the Bee that a masked man entered the school with a rifle and started shooting multiple shots, more that she could count, and it went on and on. This testimony indicates that she was a witness to the crime. It would make sense that she would have witnessed the crime, seeing as she is the principal, and she was inside the school during the shooting. However, Dawn Hochsprung was the first victim killed at the school, and it is impossible to get a verbal testimony from someone who has been pronounced dead.
A few days later, an embarrassed and ashamed Newtown Bee published a retraction and apology of the anomalous article.
However, due to the description of the killer given by whoever the reporter talked to, it would seem that the witness did see something of importance, and was one of the very few witnesses who actually got a glimpse of the killer. It truly is remarkable that the local newspaper could make such a drastic error in their publication.
Puzzled by who the author of the article actually was, as there was no name attributed, I at first assumed it could only be associate editor Shannon Hicks, since she was the first reporter from the Bee on the scene. To confirm, I contacted Miss Hicks, who suggested I speak to Curtis Clark, chief editor of the Newtown Bee. Mr. Clark in turn stated that the writer of the article was John Voquette, a well-known radio personality from Newtown and an associate editor for the Bee. Vauquette attributed the mistake to the commotion of the day. Vauquette's response was that the woman with whom he spoke, face to face, shared some of the same physical attributes as Hochsprung. How this unknown and unidentified woman, who shared the same attributes as the Sandy Hook principal, who shared first-hand knowledge of the alleged shooting, and who herself claimed to be the school principal, came into contact with the Newtown Bee in the first place, is also a great mystery.
I feel sorry for this her principal. That's right. You know, she gave up her life saving the children at Sandy Hook Elementary School that day. She sure did. You know, Sandy Hook Elementary School was a terrible tragedy. Lots of people lost their lives that day. This head principal, she gave up her life trying to save these children. And, you know, it was a heroic thing to do, to give up your life to save these children. Yep. It's only one problem. She forgot that she gave up her life to save the children. And she was a block away from the marathon when the bombs went off.
Her mother, Dawn Hochsprung, was the principal at Sandy Hook Elementary School. She was killed on the morning of December 14th.
Dawn Hochsprung memorialfund.org. On there, you hopefully soon, probably within the next day or so, will be able to donate directly into the PayPal account that we have set up for her.
Brother-in-law of Dawn Hochsprung, the principal of Sandy Hook School who was killed in the shooting, he was also brutally murdered earlier this year by his own roommate.
I want to bring in Meredith Artley. She is managing editor of CNN.com, and she just spoke with an eyewitness who was inside of the school.
Hi, Suzanne. She conveyed to me that she was in a meeting this morning. She said it was around 9:35, and there were about 7 people in the room, and it was a meeting regarding one of her kids. She has children at the school. And she volunteers at the school as well. And she heard, she described it as a pop, pop, pop in the hall. And they all heard it. There were about 7 people in the meeting room. They heard that sound in the hall. And she said 3 people went out into the hall. And to hear her describe it, she said 3 people went out into the hall, and only one person came back.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Hammond was hit first in the leg, and then sustained another gunshot wound. She lay still in the hallway and then, not hearing any more noise, crawled back to the conference room and pressed her body against the door to keep it closed.
They're coming! They're coming! She said that she cowered under the table during that moment and called 911, as did the other people in the room. She said she never saw the shooter, that she was under the table, that the shooting happened in the hallway. And to hear her describe it, she said that there must have been 100 rounds. And I asked her to clarify that. I said, really, truly 100 rounds? And she said at least. She said that there was confusion. There was yelling, and understandably, she said there was yelling in the hallway, and she couldn't tell for a while if it was the police or the shooter. When I talked to her, she was still inside the school. The school's on lockdown, so she couldn't tell. She didn't know if the shooter was dead yet or still there.
State police emergency. Is this the shooting in Newtown?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you have anybody with you right now? Do you have any children with you?
I have no children. I have 5 adults, and one's been shot twice.
One's been shot twice. Where are you?
I'm in the first conference room.
Okay. Are they breathing and talking to you?
She's breathing, but she's barely.
Okay. Do you know where the shooter went? The shooter is outside the door.
God, he's shot behind the door. He must have some big
The shooter is outside the door? Okay. Where are you in the building, ma'am?
When you come in the door, make a left, room 9.
Okay. Can you see the shooter?
No, I can't. We're on the floor.
All right, I'm going to connect you with Newtown. Stay in the line. They're probably not going to pick up right away, okay? I'm going to stay on the line with you. Do you understand? Can you put pressure on? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Up here, he's out.
Ma'am, do you have a description of the shooter?
No, I do not.
You don't? You didn't see the shooter? You just have a woman that was shot. Do you know how to administer first aid? No. Can you put pressure on her wounds? To stop, you can't? What's going on? Talk to me.
He's fucking right outside the door. I don't want to move.
He's outside the door. What building are you in, and what's the room number?
Room 9.
Room 9.
State Police, 911, what's the location emergency? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Get reports that the shooter is outside the door.
State Police, 911, what's the location emergency?
We're at Shady Hook, Shady Hook School in Shady Hook.
Okay, what is...
We hear shots, and we don't know what's going on. We hear
Okay, what's the address of the school?
The address is... They're gunshots. What's the address? Yeah, Sandy Hook School in Newtown.
12 Dickinson Drive.
We don't quite know what's going on. We're in the
Is it 12 Dickinson Drive?
Yes.
All right, did you see the shooter?
No, we're in the classroom.
Okay, are you locked down?
Nothing was called from the office. I don't know what's going on. We don't know what to do. But we do hear some shots. And the office hasn't notified us of anything. We're just
okay. All right, just remain in the room. Just remain in the room. All right, just stay calm. Remain in the room. If you can barricade the door, barricade the door. If you could push desks in front of her, something. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Okay.
He's outside her door right now. They have a person that was shot with them.
Okay, just stay with me, okay? What's your name? Ma'am? Ma'am? Stay with me. My name is Karen, okay? I'm not going to go anywhere. Can you see them? Can you give me any idea where they're headed? Do you have your door barricaded?
No.
All units, be advised, we're working on an active shooting in Newtown right now. We are working on an active shooting at a school in Newtown right now.
Okay, ma'am.
Please send somebody, please. I have to...
They're on the way, ma'am. Just try to stay calm with me. Can you see him or no?
No, I'm on the floor, honey. I can't.
Okay, all right. Is there a way that you lock the door?
No, there's no lock here.
Okay, at this time, all the rooms are locked. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right. You're in room 9. Can you see them or no?
No, I'm on the floor.
Okay, all right. Just stay where you are. Okay, you said you have a bunch of adults with you, including one that was shot?
1, 2, 3, 6 of us.
There's 6 of you, and one was shot? Twice. Is she bleeding badly, or is she breathing?
Natalie, how are you? She's breathing. She's breathing.
Okay, just stay with me, please. We have somebody on the way.
Please hurry, please hurry, please hurry.
They're on the way. Just try to stay calm, please.
Please hurry.
State Police, 911, what's the location of your emergency?
I need the phone number like the animal control. Who's animal control? My neighbor give a hard time. They use.
Are you in Danbury, ma'am? Ma'am, are you in Danbury?
Yeah, Danbury. Yeah.
Danbury, hold on. Let me connect you to Danbury. Do not hang up your phone.
You've got to stay calm with me. You can't see them from where you are?
No.
Okay, all right. Just try to stay calm. Don't panic. I know it's hard. You've got to stay calm for everybody in there with as well as yourself, all right? Do you have any idea who the shooter is?
None whatsoever.
You've not seen the person. Does Natalie know who it is?
Natalie, do you know who it is? No.
Okay. What did the person just come into the building?
Yeah, all of a sudden we were in a meeting.
You were in the meeting? Okay.
And Dawn and Natalie, principal and vice principal, went outside. And she came right back in. She said, I've been shot twice. So at this point, this got to be many down.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just stay with me, okay? I'm not going to hang up, I promise. All right.
Please.
The name of your school is?
Sandy Hook School.
Sandy Hook School. Okay. All right. So you were right in the middle?
Please, Jesus.
Okay.
Jesus.
No, that's okay.
Please, Jesus.
Just try to stay calm, okay? All right?
Please, Jesus. Please, Jesus.
Okay.
Please, Jesus. Please, Jesus.
Okay. All right. You're going to be all right. Listen to me. Okay?
State police, 911. What's the location of your emergency?
I am at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and I don't know if there's something going on here, but...
Ma'am, we have a report of shots fired in the school. All right?
Okay.
Are you in a classroom?
I am locked in the music closet with my class.
All right. Stay where you are. Just remain where you are, okay?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
I know you got to listen to me. Take a deep breath, okay? Think of your children, okay? Remember their faces. Try to stay calm. You got to stay strong for them, okay?
Are they here? Are they here?
They're there on scene, but I don't want you going anywhere, okay? Just stay where you are until we can find out exactly where the person is. Just stay down, stay calm. Is everybody in the room calm with you as well?
They're very calm. I'm not so calm.
Okay, well, you've got to stay calm, okay? Look at them and then think of your kids, all right? You want to see them again? You've got to stay calm. Try not to move, all right? And I can even imagine what you're going through right now, but you've got to stay calm with me, okay?
Dude, I'm just a mom. He's a worker. He's at school.
I know that. Don't be concerned about them right now. You be concerned about yourself and the people in the room with you. Just make sure that Natalie's okay. If you can, are you near her?
One of the teachers just went to her. She's not okay.
She's not okay.
She's bleeding bad.
Okay. Just try to stay calm.
She can talk. She can talk, so she's breathing.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Can they give direct pressure to where she's injured? She's at number 9. She was shot a couple times. Yep, they think the shooter was in front of their door, but I have 7 adults there right now. Okay, we're going to get somebody to you guys. You got to stay on the phone with me, though. Okay?
Yeah, well, okay.
No, I am not. They weren't picking up. Okay, just stay with me, okay? Can you make your way over slowly? Can you crawl over to where they are, where Natalie is?
No, I'm not moving.
Okay, all right. Can you see from where you are what they're doing with her? Can somebody put direct pressure on her wounds?
Okay, we'll try to do that.
Okay.
Can you put direct pressure?
Tell them that there's got to be a way that they can put direct pressure on her wounds. We're going to get medical attention to her as soon as possible. All right, room 9, is that on the first floor?
Wait, it's only 1 floor.
Okay, I'm not familiar with your school, so I'm just trying to figure out exactly where.
You go coming in the front door, you turn left.
Front door, turn left.
And there's a couple doors down on the right.
Couple doors down on the right. Is it a conference room?
Yes, it is.
Room number 9.
Room 9. Direct pressure.
Yep, direct pressure. Make sure that her airway is open, that she's breathing. There, if you come in from the front, turn left. Couple doors on the right. They're room number 9.
He's screaming.
Who's
Somebody's
screaming?
Somebody's
screaming. Okay, listen to me. Listen to me. You've got to stay calm. Nobody move where you are. Okay? Can you see anybody from where you are?
No.
Okay. All right. Then just stay where you are. Okay. I have an injured person in room number 9, okay? All right, just stay with me, okay? Just stay with me. I'm not going anywhere.
My God.
All right, is she breathing? Is she talking to you guys?
She's crying. She's talking.
Okay, well, that's she's talking to you. That's good, okay? All right, just keep talking to her, you guys, if you can.
Room 9.
Hello?
Hold on.
What's going on?
I don't know. She just opened the door and said, we have somebody hurt. We hope it...
Wait. She went outside?
No, she just opened the door.
Who was there? Who did she talk to?
I don't
Tell
know.
nobody to move, please. We know where you are. Just please. Go back in there and shut the door. If you can barricade the door until I tell you otherwise, okay? Please?
Yes.
All right. Is there a way you can barricade the door?
We can't, no.
Okay, there's nothing to put up against the door?
No, there's nothing.
Okay, all right. Try to stay in the room. Don't leave the room until I tell you guys otherwise. We know you're there. We know she's injured. Just, is there any medical kits in there or anything? Or
nothing.
Can somebody take a jacket off or rip a sweater? Or just something to put as a bandage on her. Where is she shot?
I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I don't know where she's been shot. On her side. There's blood
Okay,
on the
all
floor.
right. I'm just trying to figure out so I can give you guys an idea what to do, okay? The person that's with her, do they know where she's been shot?
The person in room 9, I'm talking to them. They have a woman that was shot. I'm trying to stay on the line with them.
Is there anybody
Number
in our
9,
school?
room number 9, they're in the conference room. I have one victim that's been shot numerous times. They're trying to give her medical attention right now. So if you can get somebody to them right away.
What's the matter?
Is anybody in school yet? Is anybody here yet?
Yep, they're on scene. I just don't want anybody leaving the room right now.
They're here. They're here. Are they in the school yet?
There are officers on scene. We're trying to figure out where the shooter is right now, so that's why I want you all to stay where you are. Nobody move.
Police are here. Must stay put. We must stay put. Police are here.
Okay, just tell them do not move.
Do not move. Do not move. Police are here. They're trying to find where the shooter is located.
So don't tell them not to go out the door until I tell you guys to, okay? I'm going to stay in the line with you, like I said, all right? You're okay now? Okay, is okay?
She's right with me.
She's got to stay calm. I know she does, I know. But her best bet, I told her she'd think about her children. She's got to stay calm right now because if you panic... Did you see who shot her?
No.
You don't know who it is?
No.
Okay. All right. Is she still bleeding pretty bad? Do you guys have her do you have anything put on her or anything like that to try to still the bleeding?
Is anybody putting direct pressure on Natalie? Okay, she's okay. No, she seems to be okay.
Okay, all right. So she's talking to you guys. She's
talking.
All right, just stay with me, okay? Like I said, we're gonna make it through here, all right? I don't want anybody to go out.
No.
Okay, just stay with me, all right?
There must have been 100 shots. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. We took a bunch of phone calls, but I'm staying in line with you guys. All right, just stay with me. This is a Newtown. The name of the school is Newtown.
Sandy Hook Elementary.
Now, if you'll recall in the final report, the shooting victim of the conference room was shot, laid here for a moment, and then made her way back into this room and sat against the door. Also, she said that there must have been 100 shots. Well, the only thing that you heard during the time of her phone call was approximately 5 shots.
How many did you hear? 5.
Classrooms 10 and classrooms 8 are right across from here. Classroom 10 being over here and classroom 8 being this way. Now, you didn't hear any children screaming. You didn't hear any teacher screaming. You didn't hear any of that.
She didn't know if the shooter was dead yet or still there. She noted this was not some high-powered meeting. It was, about about one of my children who was in 2nd grade there.
Okay, they have the SWAT team on the way as well. We're just trying to figure out where the shooter is, okay? All right? It's going to be okay, all right? You listen to me. All right? They've got people on the outer perimeter. We're just trying to find where the shooter is, and then we will get somebody to you guys. Just stay where you are. Tell everybody to stay calm. Who's that? Is that...
Thank you. The police officer just came in.
Is it, oh, there a policeman there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You guys are okay. All right? Okay, good. Take care, okay?
Yes.
Now here's an SUV coming in really fast, and another vehicle. Let's see, that's 10:05.
And she said they marched at some point. I don't have the length of time, but she said at some point after the shooting, they marched us out in the hallway, right past the 2 bodies laying in the hallway in a pool of blood.
How long was she in that room when she heard those gunshots before there was silence?
Well, she said she was there she said she got there at 9, or she said the meeting started at 9:30, She said that she feels like it was right at the start of the meeting. So she said around 9:30, 9:35 they started hearing the pop, pop, pop in the hall, and it sounds like she knew what it was. I asked her. I said, a lot of people don't know that that's what they're hearing, it's gunshots, and she said, no, we all knew that something was being fired in the hall.
According to the official story being promoted by the media and authorities, there was only 2 injuries sustained from the attack, and both injured parties were teachers at the school. The first with injuries was the lead teacher at the school, 40-year-old Natalie Hammond, who was shot in the arm and leg, but perhaps she got lucky and received minimal damage from the incident.
When the killer arrived at the school, the doors were locked, so he used his rifle to blast his way in. The principal and school psychologist heard the gunshots and came running. Police say the gunman killed them right away. Then he headed down this hallway.
Hochsprung and the school psychologist ran into the front hallway of the school when they heard that noise from the gunfire and the breaking glass. The gunman then shot both of them dead immediately. There were only 2 people who were shot that day in that school who were not killed. Only 2 people injured and not killed. Both of them were hit at that point in the attack, that initial point. One teacher who was in a meeting room with the principal and the psychologist was hit by a ricochet bullet from that initial onslaught of gunfire. She was wounded in the leg, but she crawled back into the meeting room and she called 911.
Now, there's 2 surviving teachers who were injured, and I visited both of them. And Natalie was the one who, both, by the way, are in wheelchairs at their homes now and recuperating, and neither one of them knows for sure what they will do about future employment. They don't know what they can possibly handle. And Natalie's left side of her body is bandaged in multiple ways, and she stays in that wheelchair until these injuries she's recovered from these injuries. She's a feisty young woman, and I learned that, and you can just see the feistiness. I learned that she had been in the meeting with the principal and the teacher. Principal and the psychologist and the parents. There was parents in that meeting too. When they all heard the shooting and identified it probably as shooting, Mary and Dawn had gone out to see what was going on, and then Natalie followed them. Natalie saw Mary and Dawn dead on the floor when she got out into the hall, and saw many children and gathered them all, pulled them into the meeting room where they had been, and got them into a safe location.
They just happened to be out in the hall?
Well, they did. There were children bringing attendance reports to the office.
Okay.
You know how they do that? And it's a responsibility of a really good student or something.
Yes.
It's a special honor, to do that. And so there were, I don't know how many children. It wasn't crowded. But whatever children she saw, she gathered and got into the room, shut the door, and locked it. But in schools, you're not used to having locks on all doors. So she didn't have there was just a button kind of lock on it. Put a chair under the doorknob to hold it shut. But Adam Lanza, the shooter, came and pounded on the door, pounded and screamed and shouted to let him in. She held the door shut against his force with her left side of her body. And he shot through the door and shot her 4 times up the left side of the body. And finally left and went on to the classroom. And so it was very difficult to imagine that Natalie had these 4 gunshot wounds and was able to stand there at the door holding it shut. But her keeping him there for that amount of time when he was concentrated on them probably saved the lives of other children, because he was preoccupied with getting into that room. And by then, the teachers were working to have their children safe. So it's hard to know how many lives she saved, but certainly some. And so there she is at home now, trying to decide what her future is going to be like, and withstood the gunshots that he did through the door. That's how powerful his guns were.
She was in a meeting this morning. She said it was around 9:30, 9:35. and there were about 7 people in the room, and it was a meeting regarding one of her kids. She has children at the school, and she volunteers at the school as well. And she described it as a pop, pop, pop in the hall, and they all heard it. There were about 7 people in the meeting room. They heard that sound in the hall, and she said 3 people went out into the hall. And to hear her describe it, she said 3 people went out into the hall, and only one person came back. And she said that she cowered under the table during that moment and called 911, as did the other people in the room. She said she never saw the shooter, that she was under the table, that the shooting happened in the hallway. She said that there was confusion, there was yelling, and understandably, she said there was yelling in the hallway, and she couldn't tell for a while if it was the police or the shooter. When I talked to her, she was still inside the school. The school's on lockdown. At some point, I don't have the length of time, but she said at some point after the shooting, they marched us out in the hallway, right past the 2 bodies laying in the hallway in a pool of blood.
Censored related that at approximately 0930 hours, she was in a PPT meeting in room 9 with the school principal, several other school staff and a parent of a school student. Approximately 5 minutes into the meeting, she heard 3 loud pops, shots. 3 individuals, who she identified as Dawn Hotspring, Mary Sherlock and Natalie Hammond, ran out of the room. She then heard several more shots fired. She and the others in the room hid under tables and Hammond ran back into the room and closed the door. At that time Hammond stated, "I've been shot." Hammond laid on the floor and held the door closed. The parent in the room, who she identified as censored, called 911 using her cellular telephone. Censored related that she heard shots being fired for what appeared to her to be approximately 10 minutes. While censored was on the telephone, Hammond provided her with a description of what she had seen. Hammond related that she saw a person with a mask and that Hotspring and Sherlock had been shot.
There was a masked man came in and just started shooting.
Censored related that at approximately 0930 hours, she arrived at the school for a PPT meeting with the school principal and other school staff members. Shortly after the meeting commenced, she heard shots. 3 school staff members left the meeting to investigate the source of the shooting sounds. One of the staff members, who censored identified as Natalie Hammond, returned to the conference room and stated that she had been shot. That Hammond told her that the shooter had been wearing a mask. At this time censored was on her cellular telephone with the 911 dispatcher.
Censored was attending a meeting within conference room number 9 during the Shady Hook school shooting. On February 15, 2013 at approximately 0914 hours, Detective Peters and I met with Censored within Chalk Hill School. Censored stated verbally and later in a sworn written statement that as soon as the PPT meeting started she heard what sounded like metal chairs falling. It was a boom, 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 approximately 5 to 10 consecutive sounds. Dawn, Mary and Natalie then ran out of the room, but before Dawn had ran out she stated to us, "Stay here," as if she knew something was wrong. The remainder of us in the room got down to hide. Shortly after, Natalie came back into the room and stated that she had been shot twice. Natalie laid down in front of the door with her head towards the printer. Natalie was also holding the door handle, preventing anyone from coming inside. During this time, Censored had heard anywhere from 100 to 200 gunshots. Censored didn't hear any talking but recognized the sounds of children screaming and crying. The shooting would continue, stop and then pick up again. Censored did hear someone walking and it felt like the steps were getting closer and then further away. As the shooting continued, Censored did hear the sounds of doors being shut, which she knew were teachers closing their doors. Censored then heard one more gunshot which sounded completely different than the others. This last shot sounded like it came from the lobby area. The school then became quiet. Censored then stated that the initial gunshots sounded like they came from the lobby with the other shots coming from the right side of her door. Censored then recognized the sound of police radio, which is when she knew it was going to be okay. Censored remembers one officer yelling at a little girl to get back into the room. The only child voice Censored heard was this little girl who stated that she is all alone. On February 15, 2013 at approximately 10:14 hours, Detective Peters and I met with Censored within Chalk Hill School. Censored stated verbally and later in sworn written statement that on December 14, 2012 she entered conference room number 9 at approximately 9:32 a.m. She then heard a metallic sound which sounded like metal chairs falling down. The noise did not register in her mind as being gunshots. The noise sounded like it was coming from the lobby area. Dawn, Mary and Natalie got up and left the room. Dawn then shouted back from the hallway, "Shooter, stay put." Someone had then shut the conference room door and everyone hid. Censored heard what seemed like hundreds of gunshots. The gunshots were getting closer to the conference room and then it sounded as if the gunshot went past the room. Censored does not remember the gunshots coming back towards them. During the shooting, there were quick pauses and then the shooting resumed. A short time later, Natalie came back into the room and stated that Dawn and Mary were shot and she thinks they are dead. Natalie also stated that she was shot. Natalie stated that the shooter had a small build and was wearing a mask, but couldn't tell if it was a man or woman. Censored never heard footsteps but did hear the shouts and screams of children. Censored did not hear doors opening or closing. She does remember hearing police sirens. Later in the day, Natalie told Censored that Mary and Dawn were directly in front of her, shielding her from the gunshots, which is the reason why her injuries were on her left side. At a later date and time, Censored visited with Natalie at her residence. Natalie stated that when Dawn, Mary and she were shot, they all went down together and Natalie played dead. The shooter then went into the office and at that time she was able to crawl back into conference room number 9.
On February 19, 2013 at approximately 0917 hours, Detective Peters and I met with Censored within the Connecticut State Police Southbury Barracks for a subsequent interview. Censored stated that following in a sworn written statement, I and the Censored at Shady Hook School. On December 14, 2012 at 9:30 a.m., I was attending a PPT meeting in conference room 9. By 9:35 a.m. we had already started. Censored had started speaking and then shortly after I heard a noise coming from the lobby. I initially felt that the noise was gunfire. The noise was loud and with the sound of glass crashing. All of us in the room stood up. This initial round of gunfire continued rapidly and with crashing. Dawn, Mary and Natalie, in this order left the room, all together in single file. Shortly after, a second round of gunfire ensued, which is when I believe Dawn and Mary were killed. When Dawn, Mary and Natalie had left the room, the conference room door was shut, but I can't remember how it was closed. The rest of us in the conference room hid. I hid under a table to the left of the door, as you walk in. When Natalie returned to the room, I remember the shooting kept continuing. Natalie had told us that she had been shot. Natalie was holding the door shut with her right arm. I reached out to Natalie, holding her foot. Then the shooting came closer to us again. I could not tell the difference in the gunfire. To me it all sounded like rapid fire and it just kept going. I heard children screaming throughout the incident. I felt that the event lasted at least 10 minutes. At this point, Natalie stated that she can't hold the door anymore. Dawn and I then pulled Natalie away from the door, laying her flat, and I inspected her wounds. As this was going on, a parent in the room was on the phone with 911. When we were calming Natalie, is when we heard voices, which we assumed were first responders. Our door then was opened. It was a paramedic and a police officer. The officer then told us to wait and they closed our door. We waited in the room for another 5 to 10 minutes. On February 20, 2013 at approximately 0840 hours, Detective Downs and I met with Censored for the town of Newtown, with regards to the ongoing investigation. The purpose of the interview was to clarify her statement that was given in a previous interview. During the interview, Censored stated, in part, the following: just as the meeting was to begin, the group heard a noise from the lobby and it sounded like a popping and crashing noise together and like chairs falling down. Censored stated that Dawn, hot-strupping, got up and went around the table toward the door with Mary, Sherlock, behind her. Natalie, Hammond, followed shortly behind. Censored stated that Dawn asked what was that. Censored stated that Dawn said something else when they got to the hallway, but she did not hear what they said or who spoke. Censored stated that she does not know how long Natalie was in the hallway, but she heard more pops and realized it was a gun. Censored stated that she went under the table and the others went to the corners of the room. Censored stated that when Dawn, Mary, and Natalie went into the hallway, that was when she heard 3 pops. Censored stated that she heard a break in the noise. Censored stated that then she heard shooting and kids screaming. Censored stated that she couldn't tell where the shooting was coming from, which room, but the shooting seemed to be moving away. Censored stated that she also remembered that the kids were being so quiet and she did not know if the shooter killed them or if they were just being good. Censored stated that she did not hear any talking outside the room. On April 25, 2013 at approximately 09:05 hours, Detective Mudry and I met with Censored at Chalk Hill Elementary School with regards to the ongoing investigation. The purpose of this interview was to obtain more information and clarify her original statement given on December 14, 2012. She was participating in a PPT meeting in the conference room located near the office of the school. It was to start at 9:30 a.m. Censored stated that in the meeting was Dawn Hochstrapping, Mary Sherlack, Natalie Hammond. Censored. The meeting started and Censored was going to speak first. Censored stated that she heard a succession of 3 gunshots and she knew them to be gunshots, in her opinion. Censored stated that Dawn, Mary, and Natalie jumped up and Dawn said very expressively, "Oh my God, that sounded like gunshots." The 3 women exited the room with Dawn first, Mary second, and Natalie third. Mary and Dawn went out almost as one, practically on top of each other. Natalie was about to step or 2 behind. After the 3 went out into the hallway, Censored stated that she heard a number of shots. Censored stated that she did not know the exact amount but at this point knew for sure the noise was gunshots. Censored stated that prior to the second round of gunshots in which the 3 women were shot, Censored grabbed the phone to call the office. She dialed but no one picked up. Censored stated that at the second round of gunshots, they all scrambled under the tables and into hiding spots and Censored tried to hang up the phone, but could not and the phone was hanging there. Censored stated that Censored also grabbed Censored pocketbook to give her the cell phone. Censored stated that she was already on the phone with 911 when Natalie came back into the room. Censored stated that the 911 operator was asking her, "Did you see him? Can you describe him?" Censored also stated that the 911 operator also asked her about Natalie's injury and told her what to do for Natalie. Censored stated that she could not move because she was frozen in fear, so she told Censored what to do for Natalie. At this time, Censored stated that Natalie was holding the door shut. Censored stated that the sound of the gunshots originated in the lobby area. The second round sounded like Dawn, Mary and Natalie got shot as soon as they went out the door, and then there was a pause. Censored stated that, when the gunshots started again, after the pause, the gunshots sounded as if they were moving away from the conference room. Censored stated that the shots did not sound like they were moving back toward the conference room. Censored stated that the shots sounded like they were coming and coming, well over 100 in number. Censored stated that the gunfire all sounded the same to her. Censored stated that she never heard the children screaming nor did she hear the shooter move or speak. Censored stated that she hung up the phone when the first responders arrived to their room.
In December 14, 2012 at approximately 14:30 hours, I spoke with Censored about her accounts of the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting. In summary, Censored stated that on December 14, 2012 at approximately 0930 hours she was in room 9 attending a PPT meeting. She was in the room with the school principal Dawn Hochsprung, the school psychologist Mary Sherlack, teacher Censored, lead teacher Natalie Hammond, Censored. Censored said approximately 5 minutes passed when they all heard gunfire. Censored said right at that moment, Hochsprung, Sherlack, and Hammond left the room to find out what was happening. Rapid gunfire continued and Censored said that about 5 minutes went by and Hammond returned back in the room with bullet wounds in her left leg and left hand. Censored explained the gunfire sounded as if it was moving down the hallway from room to room. Censored stated that the state policeman and medic then arrived and they took Hammond out of the room but told the rest to remain inside. Censored stated upon leaving the room and building with children and police she saw Dawn Hochsprung and Mary Sherlach in the ground and they had been shot. She said the two bodies were laying just prior to the bench in front of the main office, if moving in the direction of the exit. As she exited, Censored stated she noticed the panel window to the right was shot out, if looking from outside the building at the front door.
Censored appeared visibly shaken and upset, but agreed to provide a brief narrative statement. In summary, she related that at approximately 0930 hours, she was in a PPT meeting with the principal and several others. At approximately 0935 hours, she heard what she described as a few pops. The principal ran out of the room, along with the school psychologist, to investigate the source of these sounds. One of the teachers in the meeting, Natalie, ran and shut the meeting room door and thereafter said that she had been shot. Censored related that she heard kids screaming and the sounds of shots being fired followed by silence.
When I gave my report to the police, I said, half hour, 45 minutes. It seemed to go on forever. I heard every one of those 154 shots. It just went on forever.
A second teacher, who was a substitute kindergarten teacher, was wounded in the attack. While she was closing a door further down the hallway, she was hit in the foot with a bullet that ricocheted. Lanza never entered her classroom.
State Police Emergency.
I'm at Sandy Hook School. There's somebody shooting guns.
Okay, we have someone over there. Do you know if there's any injuries?
I'm bleeding. My foot's bleeding.
You're bleeding?
Yeah.
Okay. We're
I'm in
gonna
a kindergarten room facing the.
Hey, I got one victim here with their foot got shot. Send an ambulance. And we got the police coming. Are you guys all in a room now, or is
We're in
you're in the classroom?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you guys?
Oh shit.
Can you guys stay on the ground there?
Yeah, we can, but my door's not locked.
Okay.
Our room faces the playground.
Is there any way you can lock it?
No, he's out in the hallway.
He's out in the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your
Or
name?
whoever it is. My name is. Yeah.
Okay, how many victims are there?
I don't know.
Okay, how many people are injured in your room?
Me, just myself.
Just you? Okay, and how old are the kids there?
5-year-olds.
5 years old. Okay, can you still hear the potential shooter out there?
No, I can't, but I hear the siren.
Okay, help is coming. We got ambulance and police coming towards you, okay? Okay, if we get disconnected, what's the phone number that I can call you at?
Oh gosh, I still hear him shooting. Oh my God. He's still shooting. Whoever it is still shooting.
Okay, do you know what they're shooting at?
No.
All right, shots are still being fired there. Okay, do you hear the siren still?
No.
Okay. Do you have like a layout of the area there?
What do you mean?
Like
when you come into the
just
front
compared
door?
to where you are and where you see the shooter.
I don't see the shooter. My door's closed. I hear sirens.
Okay. All right.
My room faces directly out onto the playground. We have all glass windows.
Playground. Is there a room number?
Room number 1.
Room number 1. Okay. All right, hold on one second. Okay, room number 1?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually going to train, and then this way they can tell you how close they are. Are you okay? Like, how bad are the injuries?
I don't know if I was shot in my foot. I felt the vibration.
This is going to be Newtown. Stay on the line, okay?
Yeah.
This is going to be Newtown, okay?
Okay.
Is there a lot of people there that are calling? Because were
I
you?
don't know. I'm in my classroom.
Get a lot of phone calls from over there. Is there any problems that you know who the shooter might be?
Newtown 911, what's the emergency?
This is the state police. I got a
Sandy
victim,
Hook School,
from the
elementary
shooter
school.
here.
Yep.
And then she's been shot once in the foot.
She's been shot once in the foot?
She's in
I think I've been
playground
shot
number.
once at Sweden.
Okay. All right.
Room number 1.
Room number 1?
Yep.
One shot in room 1.
How close are you guys to arriving on scene?
What?
How close are you guys?
Female shot in the foot. You got a female party shot in the foot.
Yep, she's in.
Advise ambulance.
Right by the playground, room
Okay.
number 1.
Oh, I know that. Okay. Where are you? Are you okay right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's room 1 in the school?
Facing the playground.
Where are you?
Facing the playground.
On the playground?
Facing towards the playground.
Okay. Are you safe right now?
I think so. My classroom door is not locked.
Okay. Is there anybody that can lock the classroom door without being safe?
No.
Safe to do so. Okay. All right. Just try to stay where you are. Okay. Is there any way?
Yes. There's children in this room too.
Okay. Try to apply pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We have people coming. Okay. All right. Is there any other teacher with you in there, or is just students?
No, there's 2 other adults in the room with me.
Okay. All right. Are they right next to you, or where are they in the room?
No, they're over on the other side of the bookshelf.
Okay. All right. Are you okay right now?
For now, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just keep an eye on it. Try to keep pressure on it. Okay. We have people heading out there. Okay. Bye-bye.
This is still going on. Do you still hear it?
I can't hear this.
Okay. All right. Just stay in the room. Lock the door. Make sure everything's locked.
Go down where I'm supposed to walk.
If you can you have everybody lay on the floor for me?
Yes. Everyone
All right.
lay down. Everyone lay down. Do you have any other callers or just...
Oh, yeah. Everybody's calling. Everybody's in room. The state's in room. Everybody's in room.
The person's in the office.
He's in the office?
I can hear it on the loudspeaker, yeah.
Okay, so he's not outside. You hear him in the office.
He's still in the building.
All right, he's in the office. Yeah. Do you see him?
No.
No? Okay. Roger? Yeah, he's in the office area. Still going on.
I've heard nothing yet.
463, Roger?
It's quieted down.
Is you still hear the guns going off, or?
No.
No?
No.
Alright, just received a call. We have one now in room 1 who has received a wound to the foot. On other injuries. I advise for ambulance on staging.
The second wounded in the attack has for some reason remained unnamed, as this unidentified adult perhaps does not want to have their identity revealed.
At 10:07 a.m., Trooper Canoyer escorts Pisani to triage station. On a gurney and walked down to an ambulance. At 11:17 a.m., Pisani was finally transported to Bridgeport Hospital.
In this video, we see a victim being taken to an ambulance at the firehouse. This is the only known video footage of a victim from Sandy Hook.
We of course know via the police report that one of the alleged wounded women was Natalie Hammond. However, there has been some gray area as to who the second alleged injured woman was, because the police report has redacted her name. This woman was supposedly the one that was hit with a ricocheted bullet in her foot. Up until December of 2013, most people speculated that Sue Perry, a kindergarten teacher from room 1, was the alleged injured woman. This was because, of course, the injured woman supposedly was from room 1. With the release of the book Newtown, An American Tragedy by Matthew Lysiak, we found out that it was Deborah Pisani Creparo. Now, Pisani was Sue Perry's teacher's aide, and of course, she was supposedly in room 1 on the day of the event. There is a video from the News Channel 12 helicopter showing this alleged injured woman. And of course, this woman is not Natalie Hammond. So by process of elimination, this woman has to be Deborah Pisani. If it's not, then we have a major flaw in the official report.
Perhaps most important to note is that Natalie Hammond is 40 years old, and the woman on this stretcher is much older than 40 years of age. On the Sandy Hook website, it says that Natalie Hammond lives with her husband and daughter Kayla in nearby Southbury, and it seems that there is no social profiles or even graduation portraits from the university and colleges she attended. It would almost seem that Natalie Hammond does not exist whatsoever.
Headline: Sandy Hook, Connecticut State's Attorney Stephen Sedinsky cites potential suspects, fears witness safety, which can only be the 2 remaining adult witnesses, Natalie Hammond and another yet-to-be-named individual. Natalie Hammond photo has since been scrubbed from the internet. Despite numerous headlines of Natalie attending the State of Union Address 2013, no source has since listed her attending the event, nor has there been any explanation for her absence.
Natalie Hammond, the lead teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary School who survived being shot on December 14, will listen to the President Obama's State of the Union address Tuesday from the gallery of the House of the Representatives. Natalie Hammond, the lead teacher at the school, will be the guest of U.S. Representative Elizabeth Esty, the Congresswoman's spokesman, Jeff Vane, said.
She is a lead teacher at Shady Hook Elementary School and a huge lifelong Bruins fan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Natalie Hammond.
This lifelong Bruins fan just scored big. Natalie Hammond will drop the puck at the Boston-Montreal game on March 3rd.
I'm so excited. We were asked last week to attend the game on March 3rd against the Canadiens, and I'm just so honored to be a part of that.
It is a happy moment for this hockey-loving family. Joy is everything Natalie could ask for. She is a teacher and survivor of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting.
It's the best sound. It's the best sound ever. We want to bring them to a place of knowing that the world is a good place and a happy place and a fun place like this for them to be in. So it's really the hugs I've been getting today and the smiles and the laughter is really the best part of this.
This is really the first time Natalie's gotten out and been involved with anything. She's, we've been tucked away for the last 2 months. She's trying to get better physically. Face on her when she sees the kids and the kids running up to her. It's awesome.
Thanks to her husband Jerry of 17 years, she also loves hockey and the Bruins, who were humbled in meeting Natalie.
Some days it feels like it's been years and some days it feels like it's been yesterday, but my husband's been incredible. The support he's given me and being home with me and as I heal. It's been a long 2 months, but in the same respect, I think how quickly everything has happened and how quickly I've gotten to this point where I can walk and participate in social activities. So
on December 14, 2012 at approximately 1000 hours, I was contacted by Sergeant Padberg and directed to respond to Danbury Hospital to manage the reception of victims that were being transported from the shooting scene at Sandy Hook Elementary School. At approximately 11:12 hours, I met with Dr. John Murphy and Dr. Keith Zakella in the emergency room. Dr. Murphy advised that there was a live female adult victim and 2 deceased children that were transported to the hospital. At approximately 11:18 hours, Murphy directed me to the room where Natalie Hammond was being treated. Hammond identified herself as the lead teacher, an administrative position. Hammond stated verbally that she was in a meeting room number 9 with a parent and several other staff members. She stated that the meeting started at approximately 09:30 hours. She stated that approximately 4 minutes later, they all heard a loud banging noise which she described as the sound of pipes banging when the heating system is started. She stated that Principal Dawn Hochsprung and psychologist Mary Sherlock exited the room and she was about 15 feet behind them. She stated that, as she exited the room, she heard gunshots and then she saw Hochsprung and Sherlock fall down in front of her. She stated that she felt a gunshot hit her leg and felt a burning warming feeling in her lower leg. She described the gunman as a male 5 foot 8 inches to 5 foot 11 inches tall, wearing a dark hat and mask. Hammond stated that once she was shot, she fell down and laid still in the hallway. She stated that she remained on the floor for approximately 10 seconds and then looked down the hall toward the main office. She stated that she didn't see the gunman in the hall, so she crawled back into room number 9 and held the door closed. Hammond stated that she heard hundreds of rounds. She estimated that they were 10 to 15 bursts and then she could hear what she believed to be the gunman reloading. She estimated that she heard 7 to 8 breaks in the shooting, which she believed to be when the gunman was reloading. At approximately 11:26 hours, I seized Hammond's shoes and socks which had a bullet hole in the top of the toes of the left shoes. On December 15, 2012, Detective Downs and I arrived at Danbury Hospital in order to interview Natalie Hammond, who was working at the Sandy Hook Elementary School when the shooting occurred. Mrs. Hammond was shot by the gunman several times before retreating to safety in room number 9. The interview was conducted in a recovery room on the 7th floor which only Detective Downs, Mrs. Hammond, and myself were in the room for. Numerous family members and friends were asked to wait outside during the actual interview. Mrs. Hammond writes with her left hand which was bandaged due to her injuries. Therefore, I transcribed Mrs. Hammond's verbal account of the events into the 3-page written statement for her. Natalie Hammond stated that she is the lead teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary School, where she has been employed for the past 14 years. Hammond stated that on December 14, 2012 she arrived at the school around 8 a.m. and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Hammond stated that she did not notice any suspicious people or vehicles on the school grounds. Hammond stated that, when she entered the school she initially went into the main office, where she checked her mailbox and read the morning message. She then stated that she went down the hall into her office, room number 35, where she had breakfast and began checking her emails. Hammond stated that at approximately 8:55 a.m. she went to the end of the hallway by her office, and began greeting kids arriving at the school. She stated that she did this for approximately 7 minutes. Hammond stated that she went back into her office, where she was handling administrative matters, before her next meeting. Hammond stated that at approximately 9:20 a.m. she walked over to room number 20 to meet with the 4th grade team to discuss different types of books for their students. Hammond stated that at approximately 9:30 a.m. she walked over to room number 9 for a meeting with planning and placement team. Hammond stated that within 3 minutes of the meeting starting she heard a loud banging noise, almost like the sound of pipes banging when the heat first comes on. Hammond stated that the principal Dawn Hochsprung and the psychologist Mary Sherlock immediately ran out of the room. Hammond stated that they ran left towards the main office, where the loud banging was coming from. Hammond stated that she also got up and exited room number 9, and was approximately 10 to 15 feet behind Dawn and Mary. Hammond stated that, as they approached the main office area they encountered the gunman who was standing in the middle of the hallway facing them. Hammond described the gunman as wearing dark clothing, approximately 5 feet 8 inches in height, with a medium build. Hammond stated that she could not see his face or the type of weapon he was holding. Hammond stated that she then heard 3 quick shots and both Mary and Dawn fell to the ground. Hammond stated that she was also shot in the lower left leg and fell to the ground. Hammond stated that she heard more gunshots and felt that she was hit in her left hand. Hammond stated that she then crawled back into room number 9 and closed the door behind her. She stated that she heard approximately 8 consecutive shots, then a pause, then the sound of the gunman reloading. Hammond stated that she could hear the sound of children screaming from the surrounding classrooms. Hammond stated that the shooting lasted for approximately 5 minutes. Hammond stated that one of the students' mother in room number 9 with them, censored, grabbed her cell phone and called 911. Hammond stated that, censored, was talking with the dispatcher and remained on the phone until they told her the police were on scene. Hammond stated that she could hear the police yelling "Stay in your rooms" several times. Hammond stated that at this point the shooting had stopped. Hammond stated that once they realized the police were on scene, one of the women inside room number 9 with her yelled out, "We have someone injured in here." Hammond stated that a police officer then entered the room and placed a gauze around her leg and hand. Hammond stated that the police officer then placed her into a wheelchair and brought her outside to a waiting cruiser. Hammond stated that the police cruiser brought her down to the end of the road where there was a waiting ambulance. Hammond stated that she was then transported to Danbury Hospital for treatment. On December 20, 2012, Detective Downs and I met with Natalie Hammond at her residence in order to clarify certain statements made in her original statement. The interview took place in the living room area of Mrs. Hammond's home. Mrs. Hammond was shot by the gunman several times before retreating to safety in room number 9. Mrs. Hammond writes with her left hand, which is bandaged due to her injuries suffered by the gunman. Therefore, I transcribed Mrs. Hammond's verbal account of the events into a 2-page written statement for her. Natalie Hammond stated that, when she heard the shots coming from the lobby, Dawn Hochsprung and Mary Sherlock exited room number 9 and proceeded towards the lobby. Hammond stated that she then stood up and exited room number 9 as well. She stated that, as she entered the hallway, the door to room number 9 swung open to the left. Hammond stated that it was at this time that she felt she was shot in her lower left leg, causing her to immediately fall to the ground. Hammond stated that seconds before being shot she could see the gunman in the lobby facing her direction. Hammond also stated that she could see that Mary and Dawn had been shot. Hammond stated that, when she fell to the ground, her head was near the door hinges to room number 9, and her feet were facing the lobby area. Hammond stated the gunshots had momentarily stopped, and though she did not see where the gunman went, she assumed he entered the main office, because she knew the two women, censored, saw the gunman's boots from under their desk. Hammond stated that it was at this time that she crawled back into room number 9 and opened the door with her right hand. She stated that she pulled herself back into the room, then pulled the door shut behind her. Hammond stated that she was lying on the floor holding the door shut with her right hand. Hammond stated that she did not see the gunman pass room number 9, because she was below the glass window in the door. Hammond stated that less than a minute later she could hear the gunfire begin again. Hammond stated that she could hear the children screaming, but did not know what room the gunman was in at this point. Hammond stated that it was very close, because she could hear the sound of the gunman reloading the gun. Hammond stated that she could not determine which room the gunman entered first, but knew it was very close to room number 9.
On February 19, 2013 at approximately 17:44 hours, Detective Mudry and I met with Natalie Hammond, a lead teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary, at the Troopy Barracks with regards to the ongoing investigation. Hammond was asked two clarifying questions to her previous statements. Hammond stated when describing the gunshot sounds, that the initial shots that she heard were like a stack of chairs falling or furnace pipes knocking, and the sounds were consecutive. The sounds would stop and then she would hear a click, which she knew from TV to be a gun reloading. Hammond stated that she heard the reloading sound a lot after 6 to 10 shot series, her estimate. Hammond stated that sometimes the gunshots were rapid fire and fast, and then some were slower and single. The initial shots of the shooter coming into the building were fast and together. Hammond stated that she had just exited the room when she was shot in the calf. She was turning the corner of the doorway toward the lobby when she felt a shock and then warmth in her leg, and she knew that she was hit. Hammond stated that she saw the shooter for a millisecond and she knew to fall down and pretend to be dead. Hammond stated that she fell onto her left side with feet facing toward the shooter. Hammond stated that, while lying on the floor, the shots continued and she felt jolts in her body. She felt her feet move and she knew that she had been hit multiple times. Hammond stated that, when she climbed into the room, she had to open the door. Hammond stated that the shooter was standing with his feet shoulder width apart, his arms outstretched holding the gun, chest height, facing her straight on. Hammond stated that at the time that she saw the shooter, Mary and Dawn were already on the ground and she knew they were gone. The shooter was standing about a foot or two from them, practically on top of them and about 15 feet from her. Hammond stated that, after she was shot, she knew that the shooter disappeared from the lobby for a good 45 seconds, although she did not physically see where he went. When the shooter disappeared, Hammond stated that she used her right hand to open the door and she shuffled her body back into room 9. Hammond stated that she got her body inside and held the door with her right hand. Hammond stated that she knew the shooter to be moving down the hallway and knew that the movement was down the hall and to the right. Hammond stated that she did not hear the shooting noise come back toward her and remembers that the noise was so loud. Hammond stated that she does not remember if Dawn said anything to them prior to leaving the room. She did not hear Dawn or Mary speak to the shooter. She did not hear the shooter speak. Hammond stated that she did not notice which of the classroom doors were closed in the hallway.
Hammond stated, in part, that she recalls hearing shots being fired at the time that she was struck, but could not make any distinction as to where the shots were coming from, only that they were being shot within close proximity to her based upon noise. Hammond stated that she recalls that the shooting was sometimes rhythmic and steady in its cadence, but that at times there were pauses in the sound of the shots, interspersed with the noises that Hammond associates with the shooter reloading and changing clips. Hammond stated that she initially heard the sounds of children screaming, but that it stopped at some point, and advised that she believes that the screaming was associated with the children that were running out of the building. Hammond stated that she recalls that during the majority of the shooting, the building was eerily quiet with the exception of the sound of gunshots.
Prior to issuing the FOIA request, did you make any effort to determine whether or not the Sandy Hook School had an assistant school principal?
I understood that they did. I don't know. I thought that they did.
January of 2012, the school board minutes showed there was an assistant principal named Salvatore working at Sandy Hook, and that's what we're basing it on.
During that time period, was there an assistant school principal at Sandy Hook Elementary School?
I believe so.
Was it a school principal or lead teacher?
I'm not sure.
Are you aware of any emails that may have come from school principal Dawn Hochsprung or her assistant school principal for the period of May 1st, 2012 through December 13th, 2012 to the facilities department?
Yes.
And have you reviewed those emails?
I don't quite understand the question.
Have you looked at them? Have you read them?
Of course.
Okay, so they exist.
I'm not sure.
Well, Attorney Frank can't help you with that. If you received them and you read them, then they must exist.
I would think that they must exist, yes.
Okay, that's okay.
Just to be clear, for the period of time at issue, are we also stipulating that the Sandy Hook School did not have an assistant school principal?
We don't know that.
This tweet from someone who knew teachers inside the school. Hannah Green, my cousin is the assistant principal at the Newtown shooting and was shot twice and is now in surgery.
Also recall that the Newtown Bee released an article quoting Principal Dawn Hochsprung's accounts of the initial events. The Bee later retracted the article because Dawn Hochsprung was already dead. In the article, the Bee states Principal Dawn Hochsprung told the Bee that a masked man had entered the building. Would the Newtown Bee mistake Natalie Hammond for Dawn Hochsprung? Would Natalie Hammond conduct an interview while she was dealing with multiple gunshot wounds?
After killing Hochsprung and Schlock, Lanza entered the main office, but apparently did not see the people hiding there, and returned to the hallway.
Yeah. He shot because it was locked. The school doors were locked, and he shot his way in. And your mom is the school secretary right there.
So she was right there. So she hid under her desk. Thankfully, she got under the desk before he saw her. And he proceeded into the office and thankfully didn't realize that she was there. And once he left the office, she was able to run into the nurse's office, and on the way I stopped to answer 2 phone calls. One from the library.
School library staff Yvonne Sage and Mary Ann Jacob first hid 18 children in a part of the library the school used for lockdown and practice drills. Discovering that one door would not lock, they had the children crawl into a storage room, where Sage barricaded the door with a filing cabinet.
The intercom in the office went off as if they were going to make an announcement, and then we heard some sort of scuffling noises and stuff, and I thought somebody had hit the button by mistake and they were just in the office. So I called down there, and one of the secretaries answered the phone and said there's a shooting.
Okay. Someone had called 911 on a phone linked to the school intercom, which in the chaos was accidentally turned on.
The loudspeaker is on. There's activity in the office.
Okay.
I don't know if they're, I don't think they're aware that the all-call system is on if you have police officers in the office.
Okay.
You might want to let them know so that the rest of the school community doesn't hear what's going on.
Censored stated that, as they waited and listened, she heard multiple gunshots and a female voice state, over the school's loudspeaker, the kids.
A 9-year-old boy stated that he heard the shooter say, "Put your hands up," and someone else say, "Don't shoot," as well as people yelling, and many gunshots over the intercom, while he, his classmates, and teacher took refuge in a closet in the gymnasium.
Connecticut State Police Dispatcher LaPrade, may I help you?
Yeah. I have a question, please.
Okay.
I live in New Milford, Connecticut.
Okay.
I had gone to the recycling center. I went and stopped at a Valero gas station.
Okay.
Which is in, New Milford.
Okay.
And on the ground, I found this card.
What kind of a card?
It says Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
Okay. Can you hold on 1 second?
Sure.
Connecticut State Police Dispatcher LaPrade, may I help you?
Hey, dispatcher, how are you?
Good, how about you?
Good. John Meeker calling, 510 retired.
Oh, what's going on?
Hey, I'm trying to determine where an accident was investigated. I got the case number, but that's all I have. If I give you the case number, can you tell me what troop it is?
Yeah, do you have a badge number?
No, all I have is the case number.
It might take me a few minutes, but I'll find it. Let me get my screen up here. Do you have any idea where it might have happened?
That's what I'm trying to determine.
Okay. Let me pull up all three of the troops that we cover here. You've heard of that, I'm sure.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's a nightmare and a half,
We went through that in the 70s.
And how long did it take for it to go back?
About a month.
How?
Huh?
How long did it take?
About a month to go back.
It's already been
6 months at least.
Yeah, we started in March. I mean, if it was just B and L, it wouldn't be so bad. But it's AB on L, so it's a nightmare.
That's what we had too back then.
AB.
I was the dispatcher when it first opened, because I'd been at Troop A and Troop L.
Yeah, I worked at A before, and it's just, you get dispatchers that are country dispatchers that are not accustomed to how busy it is. But, you know what, can you hold on 1 second? We're getting slammed here all of a sudden with phone calls.
And then, as you become aware, we started hearing the gunshots. So I yelled lockdown to the group that was in our room, and I ran across the hall and told the classroom across from us to lock down.
And it's just, you get dispatchers that are country dispatchers that are not accustomed to how busy it is. But, you know what, can you hold on 1 second? We're getting slammed here all of a sudden with phone calls. There's a shooting, I guess.
Go ahead.
State Police Emergency, are you calling in a shooting?
Yes, Sandy Hook
Okay.
School.
Do you know who it is or where the person might be or if there's any injuries?
No, I do not.
Okay. Where are you right now, ma'am?
I'm in the library.
Okay. Do you have anybody in the library with you?
No, I'm calling because we called the office because the intercom was on.
Okay.
And that's how we know.
Okay. So there's no children in the library with you?
There are, but they are safe.
Okay. Make sure you lock the doors and all that, okay? We have somebody on the way.
Thank you.
After the librarian hung up the phone, she began locking her doors. When she attempted to lock the third door, she states she saw a man in the hallway with a gun. 1 month later, investigators questioned her again on her statement of seeing a man with a gun in the hallway. She stated this time that she did not have her glasses on when she observed the man, but she believed that he was a first responder who was not dressed in a uniform.
The one phone call came from the library stating that the intercom was on, but the 911 call from the conference room didn't come until after the call from the library was made.
And she remembers that one, and one from a parent as well, which we found out later. And when the parent had told me, I had gone and asked my mother, and it sort of triggered the memory that she had answered that phone call as well. But what we were told from other teachers in the school was that as she was doing that, she tripped the intercom. And so they actually heard her answering the phone calls and saying, you know, crying and saying, get on lockdown.
All the office desks had a black hardline desk phone with a video screen that could view the person at the front door. On Julie Aubrey's desk was a tan vintage push-button hardline telephone with handwriting on the lower portion under the buttons that read "Bad phone."
And in Wayne Manor, stately home of millionaire Bruce Wayne and his youthful ward, Dick Grayson.
I regret to say, sir, Batman and Robin are not at present available. What?
Pressing the pound sign and the number 1 on his phone opened the intercom system that could be heard throughout the school.
The one phone call came from the library stating that the intercom was on, but the 911 call from the conference room didn't come until after the call from the library was made.
You'll have to fill out some papers stating the medical problem.
Actually, my problem's not medical. It's psychological.
I arrived at school around 7:30 a.m. because Censored had called in sick. I normally come to work at 8:50 a.m. I came in and I spoke with the principal Dawn Hochstrapping about teachers or other staff members who were out ill. Around 8:55 a.m. buses and parents arrived to drop the children off. School started at 9:05 a.m. I worked with a building substitute who helped me with the phones and other office duties. The substitute, Censored, left the office about 9:25 a.m. At 9:35 a.m. I heard a loud noise that sounded like glass breaking. I thought one of the glass casings in the hallway had fallen over. I was going to call the custodian, but then I heard it again and looked up. When I looked up from my desk through the office glass window that looks out to the lobby, I saw a man standing in the lobby facing down the primary wing hallway to the first grade and second grade classrooms. The man appeared to be white and was wearing a soft rim type hat, sunglasses, dark, and he was holding a rifle type gun with a long barrel. As I saw the man, I heard a pop-pop noise of the gun going off. I immediately dropped to the floor, yelled to Censored, who was in the nurse's office, and hid under the desk. The office door opened and I heard footsteps of a person walking across the office floor. I could not see anything, I just heard footsteps walking towards Censored office. I then heard the footsteps go back across the office and out the door. I then heard the office door shut. After the door shut, I heard more firing from a gun. I called out to Censored. Censored told me to come into her office. I got up from under my desk and went into Censored office and got under her desk with her. I knew we needed the police, so I pulled the phone down from Censored desk and called 911.
911, what's the location of the emergency?
Sandy Hook School. I think there's somebody shooting in here. Sandy Hook School.
Okay, what makes you think that?
Because somebody's got a gun. I saw a glimpse of somebody. They're running down the hallway.
Okay.
They're still running. They're still shooting. Sandy Hook School, please. Oh.
How close is that to the front entrance, and did you hear
Pretty
anything?
close. Oh yeah, I heard popping. He came into my office.
He came into your office? Did he see you?
No, I was under my computer desk, and I saw his legs. He turned around and walked out.
Did he say anything? What made you panic?
I don't know. I just had a creepy feeling. So I locked myself in a closet with the secretary. I locked myself in a closet with the secretary.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
One of the troopers with a shotgun joined me and another trooper as we cleared the main office. I remember finding at least 2 doors which were closed and locked. I knocked on the doors and asked if anyone was in there. I got no response. We did not find anyone in the main office.
Connecticut State Police, Dispatcher LaPrade, may I help you?
Karen, OD again.
Hey.
The dinner set of keys. We're going through locked closets looking for young children that might be in there secure.
Okay.
Okay, so we're doing that right now. Then we're going to go back around and we're
Okay.
going to do another whole perimeter. We're going to do another search through the entire building systematically again.
He's arrived. We're forming up to do a double check of the building.
Okay, Roger. One of the places is in the kitchen. There's a teacher and 18 kids there.
And the bomb squad.
Yeah, and if you can give me a count on who's in and who's out, and
Okay.
if we're still searching.
Okay. No, we're definitely still searching room to room. We're definitely going room to room still.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're inside going
Yep,
room
I'm
to room.
inside right now. Yep.
Roger that.
Okay.
Yep.
One HQ. Have we cleared the building yet? That's one HQ. I'm in the school. I can confirm that the school has checked 3 times over, and they're doing a 4th.
Censored, and I then went into her office closet and locked the door and stayed there. I don't remember hearing any more shots. I heard the sound of a helicopter radios in the hallway, people talking, but we stayed in the closet because we were too scared to come out.
Sandy Hook Fire Chief Bill Halstead says he was told there's a shooting at the school, and it's not good.
I happened to be here when a call came in. Actually, I heard a lot of sirens.
He came out of the firehouse and saw an EMT motion for help with a wounded woman.
And the lady had a hand injury, and I think it was her thigh. And she wanted me to help her get out of the car. So I helped the lady get out of the car, and we put her on the stretcher and got her in the ambulance.
They set up triage for more victims.
We were set, and we got to treat one lady. Another lady came out with a gunshot wound.
The survivors filed out of the school. His ex-wife was one of them who hid in a closet for hours.
I got word out that we would, no one else would be coming out of the building.
It became apparent after that, the school had emptied and she couldn't be found, and as time passed.
It was 4 hours.
It was 4 hours.
Police had told us
Yeah.
at that time that there was nobody left alive inside, that they had checked every nook and cranny.
Mhm.
Thankfully, they missed one. They missed one with her mom and the nurse in it.
And they were hiding, right?
Yeah, they were in the nurse's supply closet.
How long did it take for the shooting to stop? Because they were in there for 4 hours.
My understanding is 4 to 6 minutes tops.
Right.
The Newtown Police and Connecticut State Police mobilized local police dog and police tactical units, a bomb squad, and a state police helicopter. They swept the school for additional shooters at least 4 times.
I wasn't sure what time it was, but Censored heard someone talking in the office and decided to peek out. When she opened the door, I heard a man's voice ask, "Censored, are you alone?" Censored replied, "No, Censored is with me." And I then came out of the closet and saw so many police officers in the office.
We raced into my supply closet and pulled the door closed.
And you were there for the next 4 hours?
Nearly, yeah. It was 1:15.
Now, you have to understand that after the shooting, that we did a complete and thorough search of the entire area.
In that journey from your office through the door, what did you see?
They told me to close my eyes.
They took my arm and they guided me out. They said, "We'll guide you out. We want you to close your eyes until we get to the parking lot." I don't know what was there that they didn't want me to see, but they told me to close my eyes.
And that's what you did?
That's what I did.
The intercom remained on during the announcements, which alerted the school of what was happening.
I heard gunshots on like the loudspeaker.
What's going on at the school?
We hear something over the loudspeaker, and it sounds like a loud popping noise.
I heard what sounded like a popping sound, and then some noises coming over the loudspeaker. Sounded like weeping noises, and really wasn't sure what was going on at that point. And then realized that we were in some sort of a situation. So I gathered my class over to my coat closet area, which is what we practice in our lockdown.
And I thought she was screaming. That's what we heard over the loudspeaker.
We were about to announce something on the speaker, and we heard gunshots.
On the other side of the building, the shooter was beginning his rampage. Luke's teacher tried to protect her kids.
So you're in the classroom, and Mrs. McKenzie, is she calm? Is she excited? How was she?
She was crying.
Mrs. McKenzie was crying.
Yeah.
Because it must have been pretty scary.
Yeah. But then, like, our next door teacher said to come to her classroom.
So you all went in there?
Yeah, because probably the government was going to come in our classroom. I don't know. It's okay. My dad is a cop. He'll, like, help us.
His dad, Luke Ramirez, is a police officer in the neighboring town of Oxford. And he did come. He was one of the first responders on the scene.
I saw my husband was calling me. I picked up the phone right away, and I just heard the terror in his voice, telling me something terrible happened. You have to get here to the school. He was with my husband.
He grabbed me, actually, and I said, I said, "Oh, you're finally here. What took you so long?"
It was awkward because everybody was like piling up on each other. And I was saying, "Don't worry, stop crying." Like, it was, like, I was telling them, my dad is a police officer, he's gonna help us. And, like, my dad, he's right there. He was checking every room. He actually threw up because of all his the work he'd done.
But I'm glad I wasn't on the other side, because then I probably wouldn't make it.
The speaker was, I just wanted to climb up on the table underneath it and rip it down, but I was scared because we were always told to stay low, and I had no idea where the shots were coming from. So I tried to sing songs, and we tried to read, and many of us did.
Whoa, wait. Singing songs to pass the time as they heard blasts over the intercom. Her words, singing songs. Guys, singing songs while hiding from a mass shooter. I mean, look. Okay, look. Guys, at this point, this is asinine.
Hi, my name is. I work at Shady Hook School, and there are some loud noises that almost sound like gunshots out in the hallway, and I'm not sure what's going on.
All right, hold on. Right.
Just stay together.
In town 911, what's the address?
In town 911, what's the address? It's 10 Dickinson Drive in Sandy Hook, Newtown, Connecticut.
Okay, what's going on at 10 Dickinson Drive?
It sounds like there are gunshots in the hallway. I'm a teacher in the school.
Okay, where are you in the school right now?
I am in the school. I'm in the classroom.
Okay, do you have everyone in the classroom and the door
All
locked?
of my students. The door is not locked yet. I have to go.
Okay,
I have to go lock the door.
Tell me, keep everybody calm, keep everybody down, get everybody away from the windows, okay?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Where are you in the school?
I'm in the hallway when you walk in the front entrance if you take a left.
Okay. All right, just try to lock down the school, okay?
We're trying, okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Lanza followed the route shown by the red arrow, entering the school and turning left towards the classrooms. It is not known why he did not enter the first classroom he passed.
State police emergency.
Sandy Hook School, I believe there's I need assistance here immediately.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm in a classroom with kids.
Okay, everybody's en route.
Yes, we're in the room.
Anybody? Do you see anybody?
I can't see anyone, no.
Okay, is the door locked?
Your door is locked.
The door is locked?
Is the door locked? Yes, the door is locked.
Okay, can all you guys go to one side of the room, or is there
We are.
or anything? How many kids are in the room?
How many kids are in the room? 16 in our room.
All right.
The sounds are still being going on.
Okay, just do me a favor, just, stay calm.
Okay.
All right, everybody's en route.
Yeah.
We got Newtown en route.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to stay on the phone with me, or do you see him or anything like
no,
that?
I just hear.
Does it sound like an automatic weapon?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do we want suffering?
The loudspeaker tripped, and I thought I heard Barbara Halstead, our secretary, and I believe what I heard was, "Oh my God," and some crying, and then the phone went down, but the loudspeaker was still on, and I could hear the shooting from the door, but I could hear it through the loudspeaker. You could hear both. Like, I don't know where I was, and it didn't sound like it was coming our direction, but it was eerily quiet. You heard nothing, and then you heard the pop, pop.
Holy catastrophe! State police emergency.
Hi, I'm calling from Sandy Hook School. There's something going on at our school, and I just wanted to make sure someone is on their way.
Okay, what's going on at the school?
We hear something over the loudspeaker, and it sounds like a loud popping noise.
Okay. Is it like a gun, or is it?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Are they in lockdown?
It hasn't been announced, but I think that is what we're doing.
Okay. I will.
It's Sandy Hook School, Dickinson Drive.
What's the phone number and the address?
I don't know the phone number. The address is 12 Dickinson Drive
12 Dickinson?
in Sandy Hook, Connecticut.
Right. Okay, we will send Newtown over.
Please fast.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
State police emergency.
I'm at Sandy Hook School. There's somebody shooting guns.
Okay. We have someone over there. Do you know if there's any injuries?
I'm bleeding. My foot's bleeding.
You're bleeding?
Yeah.
Okay. We're
I'm in
gonna
a kindergarten room facing the.
Hey, I got one victim here with their foot got shot. Send an ambulance.
Come over here. Hello?
State police emergency.
Okay. This is. I'm a teacher at Sandy Hook School.
Yep.
Are you aware of the issue?
Yeah, we are. Any other updates, or the police on scene?
I don't know. We're in the classroom, and my children are just scared, and we wanted to know an update.
Okay. All right. They're coming. I'm gonna talk to the other people coming. Unless you have another further update.
No, I have nothing. I just want to make sure that you were aware of what's happening.
Yes, ma'am. They're coming. Okay.
Okay.
Teacher Caitlin Roig hid students in a bathroom and closed her classroom door. Hers was the classroom Lanza passed by.
Lanza is believed to have bypassed her classroom, which was the first classroom on the left side of the hallway, because, following a lockdown drill weeks earlier, Roig failed to remove a piece of black construction paper covering the small window in her classroom door. Lanza may have believed that Roig's classroom was empty because the door was closed and the window was covered.
And I sat down with a first grade teacher at that school, Caitlin Roick. She heard gunfire, large windows exposed her classroom, so she managed to rush 15 small children into a tiny bathroom to try to save their lives.
I put one of my students on top of the toilet dispenser. I just knew we had to get in there, and I was just telling them it's going to be okay, you're going to be all right. I had pulled a bookshelf before I closed the door in front of it, so it was we were completely barricaded in. I turned the lights off.
Did you tell them to be quiet? Did you worry about one of them shouting?
No, I told them to be quiet. I told them we had to be absolutely quiet because I was just so afraid that if he did come in and then he would hear us and then he would maybe just start shooting the door. So I said, no, we just have to be absolutely quiet. And I said, there are bad guys out there now. We need to wait for the good guys. One of my students would say like things like, I know karate.
I know kung fu.
So it's okay, I'll lead the way out.
They really said to you, we want to go home for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I told them we had to be absolutely quiet. And so I'm hearing the gunfire in the hallway, and I'm thinking in my mind, I'm the first classroom. Why isn't he coming? I'm thinking we're next. And, and in my mind, I'm thinking, as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, what are your thoughts? What are your, and I'm thinking that I have to almost be their parent. Like I have to tell them, so I said to them, I need you to know that I love you all very much and that it's going to be okay, because I thought that was the last thing they were ever going to hear. I told them we had to be absolutely quiet. I thought we were all going to die. And I don't know if that's okay, teachers and, but I wanted them to know someone loved them, and I wanted that to be one of the last things they heard. Not the gunfire in the hallway. I told them we had to be absolutely quiet.
So I tried to sing songs, and
it's just horrible. It's so horrible. What finally happened was the gunfire stopped. The gunfire wasn't that long. It
seemed like it went on for a really long time.
He's shot 100 shots.
It seemed to go on forever.
Gunfire wasn't that long.
Okay, we have 15 kids. There they are. We have a cubicle here, toilet there. We got a adult in here. We're going to shove these 15 kids in here with the door closing inwards, mind you, the door closing inwards. If that door is closed inwards and these kids are all in there, there is no way known that door can close. Think about it. You've got everyone cramped in there, which is impossible for starters, but let's just believe that 15 kids are all in that tiny 3 by 4 by 9 foot bathroom. That door cannot possibly close.
So eventually what happened was the police came and started knocking, and obviously, I was completely beside myself, and I said, I don't believe you. You need to put your badges under the door. So they put their badges under the door. I said, if you're really a police officer, then you would have a way to get in here. You would have a key, or you would have gotten it from the janitor. If everything's okay now, you would have found the keys. So he had the keys, and he found the right one, and he unlocked the door, and then they brought us out to the firehouse to meet up with the rest of the teachers and students, waiting for parents to come and pick them up.
She told me about it that same day, just hours after the tragedy.
Holy damsel in distress!
And looking into their eyes, I said, I need you to know that I love you all very much.
It's like I picked the wrong week. Quit drinking.
I can. Which actually, and I haven't gotten permission to use this, but my principal, Dawn Hawksprung, who passed, her mantra in life was, I can, we can, you can, because we can. I can, my kids can. We can get through this, we can come out on the other side, we can learn from this, we can be stronger. I can. So I just keep telling myself that.
And she is still teaching those same first grade students she sheltered through the tragedy. Do they ask you about it?
They don't ask specifically, but things come up. Noises are really hard for them, understandably so, because obviously on that day the noises that they heard were so loud.
That didn't sound like our army gunshots or our policeman gunshots or our school gunshots or animal control gunshots.
After the shooting, the president invited her to the State of the Union. Created a new website called Classes for Classes.
Holy ripoff!
Did you see Street Stories? Medium. Richard Roth? Oh.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Caitlin Wright DeBellis was forced to leave the classroom the following year after feuding with Newtown's superintendent over safety measures that had not been taken.
Lanza then proceeded to a first-grade classroom and killed the teacher, Lauren Russo, and killed 15 of the 16 students that were in the room.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Now I do it just to watch the fucking expression change.
On January 24, 2013 at 10:25 hours, myself and Detective Michael Downs conducted a second interview with Censored, a Censored from Sandy Hook Elementary School. At the time of the shooting, Censored were in room Censored. Censored stated that at about 9:30 a.m., the teachers and students were transitioning between classes. She and Censored were waiting for another 4 students to show up for class. Censored was on time when she heard a banging noise that sounded like a hammer banging on metal coming from the front of the school. Censored stated that, when she heard the banging again, she looked at Censored and just knew it was bad, but did not know what it was. Censored stated that Censored closed the classroom door and they took Censored into the bathroom and locked the door. Censored also stated that there were 2 connecting doors on either side of the classroom that were closed but not locked. Censored stated that she does not think that the doors lock. Censored stated that she put her ear against the bathroom wall. A closet in Mrs. D'Amato's room was directly on the other side. Censored stated that she could hear the shooter talking in the next room, and that was when she realized that the shooter was male. Censored stated that the shooter was cursing, "Shut the fuck up, look at me, you're an asshole, come over here, and look at them." Prior to telling us that the shooter spoke, Censored became upset and told us that she was going to tell us something that she has not told anyone else, because she felt we the police were the ones she should be saying this to. Censored described the shooter at this point as evil and that the things he was saying were evil. Censored stated that she felt that he was in that room for a long time. Censored stated that she could hear the banging and the kids screaming. Censored stated that some of the screams seemed like they were in another room and not in the room next to them. Censored stated that she heard the door to her room open hard and heard the apple hit the door. Censored stated that near the door is a smart table, and she stated that something or someone hit or kicked the table. She described the position of the table near the door and stated that, if someone came into the room fast or wasn't familiar with the room, that person would be the one most likely to bump into it. Censored further stated that, after her door opened, she could also hear more shots, only a few and much slower, and it sounded like it was in the hallway away from her class. Censored stated that, when she first heard the banging noise, she could hear the noise begin far away from her classroom and she could hear children screaming. Then the noise sounded as if it was coming closer to her door. She then could hear it in the next room with more children screaming and the shooter talking. Censored stated that she did not hear any other banging noises, other than the few that sounded like they were in the hallway, after Mrs. D'Amato's room. Censored stated that this led her to believe that the shooter may have gone into Ms. Soto's class first. Censored stated that, when she heard the police next door, she and Censored came out of the bathroom. She said it was dark and smoky and smelled like natural gas. Censored stated that she came out of the classroom and Will Chapman, Newtown PD, was there and told them to run to the front of the building. She ran toward the front and that was when she saw that Censored was being carried out in front of them. Censored stated that, when they got to the parking lot, another officer ran with them to the firehouse and they were the first people there.
Censored stated that she was in room Censored with another teacher, Censored and Censored. Censored stated that at 9:35 a.m., she and Censored had just finished picking out a book choice when she heard a noise. Censored stated that she did not know what it was, but it was like a beep 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 sound. Censored stated that she looked at Censored, then they heard the same noise again. Censored stated that she just knew that the noise was not good. Censored stated that she went to the door to close it and saw Censored, another teacher, across the hall. Censored stated that they looked at each other and knew to shut the doors like in a lockdown. Censored stated that she did and went with Censored to the bathroom. Censored stated that Censored was up against the wall closest to Mrs. D'Amato's room and she was by the door. Censored stated that she heard an adult woman scream and then she heard the beep 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 noise and she kept hearing it and hearing it. The noise was getting closer and closer. Censored stated that she did not hear it get further away from them, just closer. Censored stated that she could hear little screams. She heard scream 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 and then nothing, not even a single shot. Censored stated that she heard the door to the class open, because she heard the apple hit the door with force. Censored stated that she also heard something hit the smart table, like the connecting door but with the time issue, it could have been a police officer. Censored stated that, after the police came, they went out the door and asked the officer, identified by Censored in her statement, as Will Chapman, Newtown PT, standing there, if they could leave. Censored stated that he told them to go, and as they tiptoed their way down the hallway, there were cops moving with their guns drawn. Censored stated that they told Censored to look down and Censored stated that she looked straight ahead. They did see a police officer carrying out a little boy in front of them and she saw the principal and the school psychologist lying on the floor. Censored stated that she believes Censored looked into a classroom. Censored stated that they ran into the parking lot and were met by another officer who directed them to the firehouse. Censored stated that they were the first ones there, because the building had been unlocked for them. Censored stated that the connecting doors in the room were not locked, because she knew D'Amato's room had a substitute and they told her that, if she needed anything to just come into their room. Censored also stated that Censored told her that she heard things, that the shooter said things, during the shooting, when they were in the bathroom. Censored stated that she and Censored never discussed what she heard. Censored stated that she did not hear anything, while the shooting was going on and getting closer to them. She stated that she was thinking about everyone in the hallway being shot and kept thinking they were next and she may have blocked it out. Censored also remarked to us that the day felt different. She stated that there were a lot of staff absent and therefore everything got thrown off with the substitutes. Censored stated that for some reason the kids were late for her class. There were events going on in the school that would have brought parents to the school. Censored stated that, if the day went like it should have gone, that hallway would have been filled with a lot of people at the time of the shooting.
The sole survivor, a 6-year-old girl, survived by pretending to be dead.
She was the first student who ran out of the Shady Hook school, 6.5 years old. She ran out of the school building covered in blood from head to toe. And the first words she said to her mom when she got outside was, "Mommy, I'm okay, but all of my friends are dead."
And as I waited, finally one of the police officers came out and he was carrying one of my daughter's Daisy friends in his arms, and she had long brown hair just like my daughter's, and I had to look very hard to make sure it wasn't my daughter, but it wasn't. But she had a gunshot wound to her head and blood all over her midriff, and he held her there until he could get her to an ambulance. And I waited, and at that point I thought, maybe this is just a crazy parent. And then the second child came out, and she was the sole survivor from the other class, and she was absolutely head to toe covered in blood and flesh.
My neighbor called us and she was like, "We heard gunshots." We saw the little girl coming out. She was being carried out and the state trooper was just carrying her, and she was just leaning back like that. And there was another girl that came out about 3 minutes after, bloody face. It was really traumatizing. And the first girl I thought it was my sister.
And I had to look very hard to make sure it wasn't my daughter. But
and the first girl I thought it was my sister. So I approached because there was no police there was barely any police. And I approached the girl and I found out it wasn't my sister, but she was like, it was very horrible.
Come with me if you want to live.
On December 14, 2012, she was teaching in Censored. At approximately 9:30 to 9:35, she heard something that sounded like fireworks coming from the main lobby. Censored stated that she immediately closed her door and gathered her kids to the corner of the room facing the courtyard. Censored stated that, when she closed her door, she looked across the hall at Lauren Rousseau, who was closing her door at the same time. Censored stated that she knows Lauren well. Censored stated that they did not speak, but they both had a look of horror on their faces. Censored stated that she did not put paper over her window. Censored stated that the shots sounded like 1 2 3, then small pauses, and then there was a long pause, but it started up again. Censored stated that she could not tell where the shots were going or if she heard kids screaming for some reason. She just remembered a lot of noise. Censored stated that, when she heard a long pause, she went to her door and locked it and then put the paper over the window. She could smell the gunpowder. Censored stated that she went back to reading to the children. Censored stated that her students told her that someone was jiggling the doorknob and that it was the police.
Lanza entered the first grade classroom where Lauren Rousseau, the substitute teacher, had herded her first grade students to the back of the room and was trying to hide them in the bathroom. Rousseau and most of the students in her class were killed. A 6-year-old girl was the sole survivor. The girl's family pastor said that she survived the mass shooting by playing dead and remaining still. When she reached her mother, she said, "Mommy, I'm okay, but all my friends are dead." The child described the shooter as a very angry man.
Go ahead. Make my day. How do you like your ribs?
Oh my God. How did you know?
Donuts don't wear alligator shoes.
Teacher say Rachel DeVino, who had been employed for a week at the school to work with a special needs student, also died trying to protect her students.
I like the way you die, boy.
Noah has 2 sisters. He's got a twin sister who, thank God, they separate twins, and she was in another classroom, so she survived. And from what we understand now, her teacher put the kids, the whole classroom, in a closet and locked it. And the gunman opened the door to the classroom, but thought that no kids were in there, and so they were spared.
Most of the teachers and students were found crowded together in the bathroom. A 6-year-old girl was the sole survivor and was found by police in the classroom following the shooting. The surviving girl was hidden in one of the corners of the classroom's bathroom during the shooting. The girl's family pastor said that she survived the mass shooting by remaining still and playing dead.
On January 8, 2013, this detective received a telephone call from Censored regarding Censored, who was a student from Censored classroom at Shady Hook Elementary School. Censored explained that Censored have yet to engage Censored in any counseling as a result. Censored inquired as to what the process would involve, and where it would occur. This detective explained to Censored the process for the interview, inclusive of the fact that the interview would follow an invitational process, and that, if Censored chose not to talk about the incident, she would not be pressed to do so. It was expressed to Censored that in this detective's opinion, which is based upon her training and experience, Censored needed to be in counseling therapy.
A girl hiding in a bathroom with 2 teachers told police that she heard a boy in the classroom screaming, "Help me. I don't want to be here." Followed by Lanza saying, "Well, you're here," followed by more hammering sounds.
Or 2 gunshots.
Then I turned around and I saw smoke and I smelled smoke. Then teacher pulled me into her classroom.
So you heard sound? Tu as entendu le son?
Yes.
Oui. What did it sound C'était like? Comme quoi?
It sounded
C'était
like
comme si
someone
quelqu'un
was
tapait à la
kicking
porte.
the door.
Oh, it didn't sound Pas comme like des tirs. gunshots, did it?
No, it didn't.
Oh, it didn't Pas sound comme like des tirs. gunshots, did it?
No, it didn't.
Loud popping noise.
You knew immediately it was gunshot.
Just had that creepy feeling.
How many did you hear?
5.
We heard all this racket at Our classroom.
What did the teacher do then?
She read us some books and we talked about things and they played little games in there. I heard gunshots on like the loudspeaker.
This 8-year-old forced to hide under his desk. His mother still teary-eyed.
Something out of a movie.
It sounded like hands falling. It sounded like hands falling. We heard like lots of bangs, and we thought that it was the custodian knocking stuff down.
We were all sitting there and I started hearing the noise and it just kept going and going.
Gunfire wasn't that long.
It seemed like it went on for a really long time.
The speaker was, I just wanted to climb up on the table underneath it and rip it down. So I tried to sing songs. And
When we were gone doing morning meeting, we heard like shots and everybody went on the ground and Miss Martin just closed the door and we went to the corner. We heard banging and the teacher locked the doors and we all went behind. We all went over to a corner and the teacher was supposed to keep us complicated. All the police officers had machine guns.
You knew something was going wrong. How?
Well, I mean, we were in our classroom and we heard what sounded like gunshots, noises.
Oh, you heard that on the?
Well, there was a loudspeaker that
the
was
PA
system was not working in the way it normally is because you don't usually hear things unless someone is making an announcement. So there were noises that didn't sound correct. So there was no anyone telling us that it was a drill. We just thought something was not right.
Carol Wexler's second grade room was directly across the hall. For her, there was no turning off the sounds only feet away.
I haven't told the story.
Ever?
You know, I think this is a very difficult conversation to have.
Censored was doing yoga with the students when she heard a large crash like metal hitting the floor. Censored stated that she did not think anything of it and continued. Then she heard a bang which seemed 3 or 4 at a time. Then she heard a pause and then the bangs continued in a consistent manner. Censored stated that she ordered the children to the backpack area. She grabbed her keys and attempted to lock her door, but when she went to go scoot outside the class, she felt as though a threat was close to her. Censored stated that she slammed her door shut, which was the only way that she could close it. Censored stated that the bangs appeared, as though they got closer to her, then went by her, and then went by her again towards the lobby. Censored described the bangs as really loud and non-stop. Censored stated that she heard children screaming and she heard the loudspeaker. Censored stated that she was unsure if she saw Soto close her classroom door. Censored stated that the metal sound was more like the metal door frame in the lobby falling on the floor or the roof of the building falling in. Censored stated that she is unfamiliar with gunfire and said to herself that the noise couldn't have possibly been gunfire. Censored also stated that she heard the intercom and children screaming, but did not hear other voices or the shooter speak.
Lanza next went to another first-grade classroom nearby, where there are conflicting reports about the order of events.
This face telling it all. This woman's sister, one of those teachers inside the school, her whereabouts unknown.
Teacher Victoria Soto hid 7 students in a classroom closet before she was killed. Those students...
Lanza then entered another first-grade classroom, and the teacher, Victoria Soto, told him the kids were in the auditorium.
Earlier reports said that as Lanza entered her classroom, Soto told him that the children were in the auditorium. When several of the children came out of their hiding places and tried to run for safety, Lanza fatally shot them. Soto put herself between her students and the shooter, who then fatally shot her.
Victoria Soto had concealed 5 children in a closet and some of the other students were hiding under desks. Lanza walked to the back of the classroom, saw the children under the desks and shot them.
Victoria Soto tried to save some of the children and jumped in front of Lanza. She was killed instantly, as well as several children.
Fuck you and die.
It was your daughter. She was 27. There have been so many tributes to her being paid by so many people. What would you like to say?
I'd just like everyone to know that she was just a beautiful, beautiful young lady. She had such passion for teaching and for life, and especially for her family. She was extremely close to her siblings that are sitting with me and her cousins, and loved them dearly.
Carly, Vicky was your sister. You were all very close, as your mother just said. It's obviously a terrible wrench, a loss, and you must be grieving horribly. And yet at the same time, hearing the President of the United States talk about your sister as a hero, it must have been very moving to you.
It was very much. I appreciate all his kind words that he did say about my sister. She was a hero, and she's still...
In this private meeting, Detective Van Ness and I told Censored where Vicky was found by first responders. We also informed Censored that unfortunately the earlier media reports of Vicky's actions were not truthful. We advised them that there was no information, based upon the physical evidence and the statements of the children survivors, that Vicky was able to do any of those things. We told them that she was most likely one of the first persons shot in the classroom, and it appeared that they were taken by surprise, and therefore, there just wasn't any time for her to hide the children anywhere. We also explained that we were not disclosing any information about any one specific victim until we had met privately with that family and provided that information to them first and received their approval to share that information with other families. Censored did not approve to the release of Vicky's location information.
First grader Jesse Lewis shouted at his classmates to run for safety, which several of them did. Lewis was looking at Lanza when Lanza fatally shot him.
Terrorize this.
Another account, given by a surviving child's father, said that Soto had moved the children to the back of the classroom and that they were seated on the floor when Lanza entered. According to this account, neither Lanza nor any of the occupants of the classroom spoke. Lanza stared at the people on the floor, pointed the gun at a boy seated there, but did not fire at the boy.
Imagine the future chains. 'Cause you're not in it.
Who ultimately survived. Lanza fired at another child in the class several times, but he was protected by the stuffed animal he was holding.
What? I said, put the bunny back in the box.
You're not solving anything by massacring people.
The boy got up and ran out of the classroom and was among the survivors.
You're fired.
He's an amazingly brave little boy. He's doing okay. We're trying to explain things to him in a way that he understands.
Robert and Diane Licata, their 6-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter, were both at Sandy Hook Elementary School on Friday morning. The parents asked we not use their children's names.
He's obviously upset. He wants to know about his teacher, how his teacher's doing, and we're explaining to him that we don't know, but if something did happen, that they're in heaven and they're angels.
His teacher was Vicky Soto.
She was an absolutely amazing teacher. She just was so young and so full of life, and just educating just got her so excited, and teaching those children, it was what she lived to do.
Diane was driving at 9:45 Friday morning when she got an emergency message from the school district. A report of an unconfirmed shooting. She made a U-turn and headed toward Sandy Hook Elementary.
I saw my daughter's teacher, and I asked her, where my daughter was, and she said she didn't know because they were separated. She just said, "Mommy, what's happening?" And I said, "I don't know what's happening, so just stay with your class, go to the fire station, stay with your friends, and Daddy will be here." So Robert went to the station, and I said, "I'm gonna wait here for our son to come out." And he didn't come. So each group that came out, I waited, and I prayed that he would be with that group. And he never came out. So I really, at that point, didn't know if I would ever see him again. I got a text from a friend, and it simply said that our son was at the police station.
Somehow the person was able to burst open the door, and basically at that point, that's when they witnessed his teacher be shot. And they all ran. My son was the last one out with the children that he escaped with. They ran right by the shooter who was in the doorway. How they escaped, we still to this day, I don't know that we'll ever really know exactly how they managed to get past him. And they ran out the door.
They ran past the shooter?
They ran past the shooter.
So they saw some victims?
They did. They did.
The children got out, but the young teacher who had bravely shielded her students was left dead.
I know she would have done anything to protect those kids. I know she would have, and I know she did everything she could at that moment. In the chaos and ascertaining what was happening. She is truly a hero. And it's very likely because of her that our son's with us today.
We also informed Censored that unfortunately the earlier media reports of Vicky's actions were not truthful. We advised them that there was no information, based upon the physical evidence and the statements of the children's survivors, that Vicky was able to do any of those things.
Like the intercom came on the school and she heard a scream and she heard a gunshot or two gunshots.
5 minutes. That's how long it took the gunman to fire 154 shots. The last to take his own life.
So, according to the official story, he shot more than 100 rounds. He supposedly shot around 150 rounds. And you mean to tell me these guys couldn't hear that? That's a loud gun, y'all. You got the nurse, Sarah Cox, over there talking about some, oh, it was about five shots. You got the little boy over there talking about some, sound like the janitor was knocking stuff down. This stuff is not adding up.
A group of kids came out from their hiding spot and ran for the door.
Children ran out of the classroom when Lance's rifle jammed or when he erred in reloading it. Police found the 5 children who had been hidden in the closet unharmed when they entered the classroom.
9-2, we got one back down. 831.
Sit down.
Hi. Did the police arrive yet?
No, I'm on Riverside Road, and I have 5 children who ran from Shady Hook School.
Okay.
Do you know what's going on there?
Yes, we have ambulance and police going over there.
Is there a shooter?
We're just trying to find that out now. Do you have any?
Oh.
Do you have any information on this?
These children are saying there's a man with a gun, and they're trying to kill them.
Okay. Can you bring them to the police station?
Yes.
The state police station?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I think he asked him, where's the school? He found out he was behind him. All right, it's 9:48 in the morning.
Censored stated verbally and later in a sworn written statement that on December 14, 2012 she dropped off her children and headed to Sandy Hook for an event at 9:45 a.m. She was driving by herself on Riverside Road in Sandy Hook heading towards the school in a westerly direction. She had not yet seen the firehouse on the corner when she observed 5 first graders running towards her, waving their arms in the air. The children were running on the side of the road the firehouse is on. Censored knew that the children were first graders because she recognized 4 of the students. She initially drove by the first graders and then turned around. When she arrived, Censored was stopped with the kids and there was an unknown male also stopped. Male appeared to be in construction work-based clothing. The kids stated that there is a man at the school with a gun, killing everyone, and Censored kept saying that Censored is dead. Censored then got into Censored's minivan with the children. Censored called the school and received no answer, so she called the police department and was instructed to drive the children to the police department. Censored then got into her vehicle and followed behind Censored to the police department. Upon arrival, the children were very frantic and they were instructed to sit in the interview room. At this point, Censored said something to the effect of her teacher is dead. Censored told Censored that it's not true and Censored replied that there is a lot of blood. From what Censored remembers, the children did not mention any descriptors of the shooter or of any other children that were injured.
Yeah, that's correct. I have 4 children, and 2 of my kids were at Sandy Hook that day. One is 6, and she's in 1st grade, and one is 7, and she's in 2nd grade. And the day on December 14th, I was headed into school I was supposed to be making gingerbread houses at my daughter's, in my daughter's 1st grade class. But on the way to school, about a half a mile from the school, I saw another parent from the class in the middle of the road, and she was with 4 of those boys that escaped. And she said to me, "Something's really wrong. These boys are saying somebody's trying to kill them." So I rushed over to the school and I parked my car there and I started to go inside, and there were a couple of police cars there at the time, and they wouldn't let me into school, so I stayed in that parking lot and I waited for things to happen. As I waited, more and more police cars came and with rifles and whatnot.
Officer Greco responded to the police station. He arrived at the station at approximately 10:52 hours, where he found no officers or command staff present with the exception of Officer Hayes. Dispatch could only confirm that there had been a shooting and advised him that the interview room in the lobby was filled with children. At approximately 10:56 hours he entered the interview room and found 5 or 6 children aged 6 to 7. There were also some adults present. Officer Greco ascertained that these children had been in one of the classrooms where the shooting took place but had escaped. At approximately 10:58 hours, Officer Greco brought in Censored along with her mother for an interview. Censored explained that the bad guy shot her teacher and classmates. She further explained that the bad guy looked like an army guy wearing what sounded like green fatigues. She further stated that she only saw one bad guy. Censored stated that she and her friends ran out of the classroom past the bad guy who was in the doorway. She also stated that the bad guy didn't see them. They all ran out of the school, down the driveway and onto the road, where they were picked up by a parent. Officer Greco continued the interviews with other children until approximately 12:10 hours when state and Fairfield officers arrived to take official statements. All of the children had a similar account of a single shooter and his clothing. The boys described the firearm as a bazooka. Newtown Sergeant Wissenter and Officer Greco reviewed the police station security footage and observed a woman in a white van bringing the children in at approximately 0956 hours.
Children escaped and together with a bus driver fled the school to a nearby home which belonged to Eugene Rolson.
How did you first learn, and it was 4 little girls and 2 little boys, that they had just run literally from Victoria Soto's classroom, a teacher who was killed in front of them?
I didn't learn about it till around 15 minutes or 20 minutes into their stay at my house.
I saw another parent from the class in the middle of the road, and she was with 4 of those boys that escaped, and she said to me, "Something's really wrong. These boys are saying somebody's trying to kill them."
These children are saying there's a man with a gun and they're trying to kill them.
I didn't learn about it till around 15 minutes or 20 minutes into their stay at my house. I don't know the details of their escape. I don't know how they escaped, but they must have run some portion of the road that is next to the firehouse and were picked up by a school bus driver.
On January 3, 2013, Detective and Mudry responded to Newtown Starbucks restaurant and met with Censored regarding the ongoing investigation. During the interview, Censored stated that she is a bus driver for All Star Transportation and normally operates Censored, which transports students from Sandy Hook Elementary School. In addition to Censored, that on December 14, 2012 she had finished her AM transportation shift and had then run several personal errands with Censored in her personal vehicle. Censored stated that she was driving on Riverside Road when she observed a group of small children to be running along the side of the road in front of the firehouse. Censored stated that she thought it was strange to see the children running along the side of the road, and thought perhaps it was a gym class from the school, but then slowed her vehicle as she approached, as she did not see an adult in attendance with the children. Censored stated that none of the children had coats or belongings with them, and that she had observed one of the children, a young boy, to be crying and calling for help. Censored stated that she put her vehicle's hazard lights on and pulled into the firehouse parking lot, exiting her vehicle and yelling to the children to stop and come back, and that she was going to help them. Censored stated that some of the children farther ahead, 5 to be exact, continued running, and she later learned they were picked up by another parent and were taken to the police station. Censored stated that 4 of the children, 2 boys and 2 girls, had followed her directives and ran to her, telling her that there was a man in the school shooting people. Censored stated that she asked the children 3 times to tell her what happened, as she could not comprehend what they were saying. Censored stated that the children were all crying and upset, and that a neighbor that lives alongside the firehouse came out and saw them all down at the end of his driveway and took them all inside his home.
Will the real Gene Rosen please stand up?
Gene Rosen was portrayed by the corporate media as the hero of Sandy Hook for having provided shelter to 6 Sandy Hook Elementary School children in the wake of the alleged shooting.
Gene's Trusty Pet Service. This is his website. In the past, Gene has been involved in a community theater and public access television where he's hosted a program that reported on the local theater scene.
Gene Rosen has an extensive background in acting and is the CEO of the Newton Cable Advisory. He has also appeared in several stage productions, including a recent production of The Fantastics.
What do we know about theater? People act at the theater, Gene Rosen, linked to acting, okay, yeah. I see why people are saying that.
School bus driver picked them up. I think she had just let off some kids or was in the area. And they came inside the house and they start talking about blood coming out of her mouth. And they said, "What are we going to do for a teacher? Our teacher's dead." On that, I mean, they were so distraught. And they came inside the house and they start talking about blood coming out of her mouth. And they said, "Our teacher's dead." On that, I mean, they were so distraught.
In case you didn't catch it, the reason why the cameraman corrected Gene was because in this version of the story, Gene states that the children immediately started talking about their teacher dying as they entered the house. In his mainstream media interviews, Gene changes the script by stating that the kids didn't tell him about the teacher dying until 15 to 20 minutes after their stay in his house.
I didn't learn about it till around 15 minutes or 20 minutes into their stay at my house.
We're at the location where Gene was when he first spotted the children. Gene, what did you see that morning?
I thought I heard some gunshots, and sometimes I hear a deer hunter shooting, and it's boom, boom. But these were very staccato shots. They were very quick. Boom, 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 boom. And I thought, how obnoxious. Why would a hunter do that? But I didn't think much of it. I was going to breakfast at a local diner. I was coming out from that loft over there where I fed the cats, and I saw these 6 children sitting here. I looked down and I saw 6 children, and I thought it was curious of why they're on my lawn. And I thought they were Cub Scouts or some children from the school doing a play. I was going to breakfast at a local diner, and I was ready to get into my car, and I looked down toward the end of my lawn, and I saw 6 children. 6 children. They were sitting there. They were sitting there, and I had no idea why they were there. And I went down there, and there was a school bus driver, and she said there's been an incident. They were sitting in a regular fashion, and something was askew, because I saw this man talking in a very loud voice to them, saying, "It's all right, it's all right." And I'm wondering, why was he talking so harshly to them? But then I saw a man in a very agitated way saying, "It's going to be all right." And he kept raising his voice, and I thought that was so strange. And I came to the children, and they were crying and wailing and mortified. And I wondered why they were here. And I saw a man talking to them in a very harsh way. And he seemed agitated. He kept saying, "It's going to be all right, it's going to be all right." And he disappeared. I saw 6 children at the end of the driveway, and I saw a man speaking kind of harshly to them in a loud voice, saying, "It's going to be all right, it's going to be all right." And I thought it was a skit or a play, or some Cub Scouts were rehearsing. And I just kept walking, and I came and I saw them, and they were weeping, and they looked very frightened, and they almost looked out of breath. And they were just sitting right here, and they were sitting in a nice little way. And the children were right over there. They were sitting by on my lawn. I thought they were doing a skit, or maybe they were Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts, and they were just practicing. I thought he was talking in a very loud manner, and I thought maybe it's part of a skit or a play, and the kids were just pretending. The teacher said, the bus driver said, "There's been an incident." So I said, "Come on inside, come on inside." And we walked up my driveway, and I took them inside the house. And there was a school bus driver with them, and I invited them into the house. And she said there had been an incident at the school. I had no idea what it was. When I started getting closer to them, I could see the distress and the fear and the disorder they had just witnessed. They seemed out of breath, and there was a school bus driver with them. And I said, "Come on inside, come on inside." And they just followed me.
What did you hear them saying while they were down here?
They were just crying. They were just crying. They didn't say much. I did not know what happened. They didn't really say much about it until they got in the house. They looked mortified. They looked very fearful. And I just said, "Come on in, let's go in the house." And they followed me with the school bus driver, but they did not say what happened. I did not know.
Holy short memories! Censored stated that all of the children wanted to contact their parents or have censored drive them home, and that along with the man's help, they asked the children for their parents' phone numbers, which they all knew, and she and the man called each of the telephone numbers. Censored stated that they made contact with a parent at 3 of the 4 telephone numbers, and ultimately those parents responded to the address and claimed their children. Censored stated that a 4th child, a girl, remained with them, and they walked her over to the firehouse, where she ultimately reunited with a parent. Censored stated that she isn't sure as to what time exactly it was when she first observed the children on the street, but knows it was before 10 a.m. censored, stated that she believes it was approximately 9:40 or 9:45 a.m., based on how long it took her to run her errands and be on her way back home. Censored, stated that the children told her that, when the man came into their classroom, they had run out of the room, and ultimately the school. The children stated that the man had a shotgun and one of the boys told her the man had a mask. The children told her that they had seen their teacher get shot in the foot, and stated that they had seen murdered people. Censored, stated that she did not observe any of the children have blood on them.
And the teacher said, the bus driver said, there's been an incident. I didn't learn about it till around 15 minutes or 20 minutes into their stay at my house.
Rosen, who's a former psychologist, did what he could to console the children until he was able to reach their parents to pick them up.
It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
One would assume, with Jean's background as being a psychologist who worked at the Newtown Fairfield State Hospital, that he would be able to count. Unfortunately, according to the official report, the bus driver, who Jean constantly refers to, claims that only 4 children were brought to Jean Rosen's house.
4 little girls and 2 little boys.
I brought them into my house, and I sat them down, and I went upstairs to my office where my grandchildren's toys are, all the stuffed animals, and I grabbed as many as I could and I brought them down, and they were very quiet and were not saying a lot, and I offered them juice and they seemed to calm down a lot, or rather a little. Time went by, and after a few minutes we went to a different room, and then they seemed grounded enough and safe enough to begin to talk. I didn't learn about it till around 15 minutes or 20 minutes into their stay at my house.
I had all these stuffed animals from my grandson. I brought them all down. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I can't even imagine this. These children. My grandson is 8. He's 8 years old. They're just starting out. How can anyone do this? How can anyone do this? How can anyone do this? These children in my house were so frightened. Oh my God, they were so frightened. I've never seen children terrorized. They were just so frightened.
And I was astounded at what they said. I did not correct them or ask them any questions. I let them keep talking. And the two boys were so, they looked like real strong boys.
That's a nice muscly throwing arm you got there.
But they were weeping. And they kept saying, we can't go back to the school. We can't go back to the school because we don't have a teacher. And I did not say anything. They just kept telling me the story. And then they said, our teacher is dead. We can't go back to the school. How can we go back? We don't have a teacher. And the two boys kept talking, and then they start talking about guns. And it started this way. This boy said, we can't go back. We can't go back to the school. We can't go back. We don't have a teacher. We can't go back. And they kept repeating that. One boy started crying. And he kept saying, we can't go back to the school. We can't go back to the school. Our teacher's gone. Our teacher's gone. And then the other one said, Mrs. Soto's gone. We can't go back to the school. We don't have a teacher. And that went on for about 20, 30 seconds. And I think one of them said, our teacher's dead. Mrs. Soto is dead. I could not take that in. I could not hear what they were saying.
But I listened. I did not amend or question or challenge what they were saying. I listened, and they kept talking. And I think it was one of the little girls that said, there was blood coming from her mouth, and then she was on the ground. These are the stuffed animals they had, and one of the little girls said, this is my name. I think her name was Emma. And they came inside the house, and they start talking about blood coming out of her mouth. And then over the next 30 minutes, they just described what happened, little by little. And these two boys kept saying, we can't go back to school. We can't go back to school. Our teacher's dead. And then they talked more, and the boy said, oh no, it was a big gun and a small gun. And then the two little boys said, he had a big gun and a little gun. He had a big gun and a little gun. And then they said her name, and I prayed that it wasn't that teacher, and it was. It was
Vicky Soto.
It was that very pretty 27-year-old teacher. I don't know how they fled. I think she must have protected them and saved their lives. I don't know if they ran all the way down the boulevard, the street next to the firehouse. I don't know how they got to my house. They were so brave, and they were so good. I brought down my grandson's stuffed animals, and they played with them. They didn't say very much. I brought them some juice, and then they seemed to be calmer, and we went to a different room. And then it all started unfolding. I could not fathom what they were saying. I could not take it in, what they were saying. And then one of them said, our teacher is dead. We can't go back. Mrs. Soto is dead. And I think one of the girls said there was blood in her mouth, and she fell down. And then somehow they escaped. I could not fathom this. I could not imagine what they were talking about. I did not correct them or ask them any questions. I let them keep talking. And the school bus driver had the presence of mind to call her supervisor, who must have had their contact list, all the details of their contact. And she started calling the parents from some office, I assume. They gave me their numbers. Oh, here's my number. But they were home numbers, and they got answering machines.
So you weren't able to contact any of the parents?
Right. Except the school bus driver had the presence of mind to call her supervisor, who knew the names of the children and had the contact information. And they called up, and little by little, the parents start coming. Some lady came looking for her son. I hope he's not one of the children. She said, I heard you had 6 kids here. I said, I took him to the firehouse. Her face looked frozen in pain. I've never seen anything like that. Her face looked like it was stone. I said, what is your child's name? And she gave me the name. I have to find out about that kid. How could you kill children? How could you kill one child? How could you kill a child? A woman came to my house at 12 o'clock. Her face looked frozen in terror. I've never seen a face look like that. And she said, is my boy here? I heard there were 6 kids here. And she said the name of the child. I thought if she had been to the Shady Hook schools, she thought maybe a miracle from God would have the child at my house. You know, I looked at the casualty list at 6 o'clock. And his name was on it. Until I saw the casualty list, I did not want to believe it. I said to my wife, they haven't released the list yet. I hope that lady's not on the list. She said, I heard you had 6 kids here. I said, I took him to the firehouse. And I said, No, he's not here, but let's go down to the firehouse and look. And I know she had been down there, I think. And this sweet boy had perished. He had perished. I saw his name on the list. I said I took him to the firehouse. And so I want to see her some point. I want to hold her and tell her that I wish I could have given her son to her. It was the most helpless feeling that I had, because the 6 other parents had their children, and she was begging for some miracle, as I was, and her son had perished. He'll be in my heart forever. When their parents came, I was so happy. And their parents came to the house. My arms were not long enough to put around them. I said I took him to the firehouse. He said, I heard you had 6 kids here. I said I took him to the firehouse. I said, what is your child's name? And she gave me the name. I have to find out about that kid. What you want? Come on. Come on. I don't know what happened.
Equally puzzling is what Gene did with the children that came to his house. Either the parents came and picked them up, or some of them went to the firehouse, or all of them went to the firehouse. Once again, Gene Rosen's testimony completely conflicts with that of the school bus driver in the official report. Whereas Gene Rosen said that all the parents came to his home to pick up the kids, or all the kids went to the firehouse, the school bus driver says in the official report that 3 of the 4 kids were picked up by their parents at Gene Rosen's house, while the 4th child was taken by both of them to the firehouse. Gene Rosen repeatedly mentions a woman who came to his house with a face frozen in fear after the children had been collected by their parents, or after Gene had taken them down to the firehouse. This woman, whose name was only mentioned once, is none other than Scarlett Lewis, the mother of Jesse, who was another hero on that particular day.
Jesse was a hero that day. He was not just a victim. I can't imagine a 6-year-old having the presence of mind to take that kind of action. I would think he would be, like all of them, just terrified.
The purpose of the storyline is to bridge the children of Victoria Soto's class to Jesse Lewis, who saved their lives by telling them to run while Adam Lanza was reloading his magazine. One can clearly see Mr. Rosen bumbling around, perhaps even reciting his lines. There's even a brief interview which he gives which proves that he was there.
I want to hold them. I want to be with them. I want to tell them that there is light after the darkness.
I'm wondering what effect this is going to have on, for instance, the children that you counseled, that you took into your home.
He was very good to me. He would take me to the circus and give me candy.
Grampy or Uncle Gene or that guy.
I know what boys like.
Or Hey You.
He stopped going when I was about 26.
26? What the hell kind of a circus was?
Nancy, I want to be with these children.
Make sure you stretch out those creamy hamstrings.
I want to be with them. I want to tell them that there is light after the darkness.
Whoever can swallow the most Tylenol PM wins.
I want to read to them. I want to be their Grampy, their uncle, Gene, whoever.
Hope you don't find the money strapped to my thigh.
Grampy, Gene, I want to spend time with them as much as they will allow and their parents will allow, I want them to come to my home because they were very brave. I want to be with them. I want to give them a special gift for Christmas. I want to tell them that I will love them forever and ever. They will be in my heart forever and ever. I pray that their parents... My arms are not big enough to get around them all. The two boys were they looked like real strong boys. I just want to love them.
Are you a pedophile?
This is the part where usually I say, I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC. Please have a seat.
Had Polaroid pictures of Sam in drag.
Parents received a text message this morning shortly after 9:30 that something had happened. They had to go to the school, and those who could took their loved ones home. Other schools in town were locked down. Many people went home early, took their kids out of school early.
Good morning. This message is from the superintendent of the Newtown Public Schools. Due to reports of a shooting, as yet unconfirmed, the district is taking preventative measures by putting all schools in lockdown until we ensure safety of all students and staff. Thank you.
And then I received an AP text alert on my phone that there was a school shooting on Dickinson, and that's where my daughter's school is. So I immediately went to the school. There were hundreds of parents there. I talked to some parents I knew, and they said that there were children being carried out all bloody. They didn't know if they were dead.
And when we got to Melissa Macros' house, here's what she had to say about how she found out about the shooting at her son's school.
How did you hear about it first?
I was shopping down at the Danbury Mall, and my husband called and said that there was a shooting in Sandy Hook, and I thought he meant the town. And he said, no, Philip's school. And he says, you got to get there. And so I hopped in my car, and he hopped in his car, and we just raced to Sandy Hook and parked our car very far away because we couldn't get any closer, and just ran and headed to the fire station because that's where we heard to go, but we didn't know if kids were going to be there, if parents were just telling us what happened. We knew the schools were in lockdown, so we didn't know if the children were still there. We had no idea what we were walking into.
And you get there, and then what do you see?
There's just kids everywhere. I mean, it's a small facility, and they were all jammed in there with their incredibly loving teachers, taking excellent care of them. And you're just scanning a room, just looking. And then you hear, Mama, and it's the greatest sound you will ever hear. And, you know, we were lucky today. We got a miracle. Our little guy's okay.
On my Friday morning, December 14, 2012, I was out to breakfast with my girlfriends. We were all discussing what our kids were getting for Christmas, the gingerbread house making party that we were all supposed to attend in our children's classrooms. In the midst of our conversation, one of my friends gets a call from the town saying, shooting in Newtown. Then another one of my friends, she checks Facebook, and there was a posting that said, shooting at a Newtown school. My friend sitting next to me gets a call from her husband. She immediately begins crying and she shouts, it's at Sandy Hook. Our two boys are at a house with her husband. They just saw their teacher and a classmate get shot. I didn't wait another second. I grabbed my jacket and I ran out to my car. While I was driving, I called my husband, who was in Denver. No answer. Then I think, what about our daughter, Mila, who is in 4th grade at the school? Where is she? I know our son is out of the school at this yellow house. He had just witnessed horrific things, but at least I know he is safe and out of the school. I finally arrive at the firehouse. There weren't too many emergency vehicles yet, and I park right in front. I run into the firehouse, and I find our daughter. She is safe. A moment of relief. Her friends were all asking me to call their parents, so I call a few, and then I explained to our daughter what her brother Riken saw, and he is at a yellow house. Amila is anxious to see her brother Riken. She says she has been worried this whole time about him. She explains what she heard and how the art room classroom door wouldn't lock. So they all had to hide in the art room teacher's office. All she wants to do is see her brother, but we can't seem to find this yellow house. She still talks about this moment as being the worst part of that whole day for her, not being able to see Riken right away. When we both see him, he's carrying a lollipop in each hand, and he begins to cry when he sees us. Riken says how worried he was about Amila, and she says the same thing to him. We all hug, and we talk a minute before we head back to the firehouse. He said he was at his desk doing his Friday news book, and he heard loud noises. His teacher, Miss Soto, told them to all go to the back of the classroom and to sit on the carpet. Just as they do this, the gunman enters his classroom. His teacher didn't have time to lock the door, since that required her to go out into the hallway and lock the handle with a key. He then says, the gunman pointed the gun at each of them, and then he found Miss Soto and shot her and one of his classmates. He said then he knew this was a very bad guy since he just shot a child. Riken says he watched him the whole time, and when he reached for another magazine and went to the Riken saw his opportunity and he ran out of the classroom door.
Standing by Miss Soto's side, Jesse reportedly shouted for his classmates to run while the gunman reloaded. He was killed, but he helped save 9 other lives that day.
He was a big baby, big voice, and really strong. In fact, one of the things that I tell is that the first time I went to the nursery to see him, all the nurses were gathered around the window taking pictures, and I kind of walked up and I said, what's going on? And Jesse had crawled to the bottom of his bassinet, and so he was kind of pushed up against the glass there, or the plastic, and it was so funny because he was really strong, you know, and
can we start by having you just tell us a little bit about what a special kid Jesse was?
He really is, and I use the present tense because I feel him all around me, but Jesse is this great dichotomy of this incredibly energetic protector type kid.
Why do you think Jesse wrote those words on that chalkboard days before this?
Because those words are not in a 6-year-old's vernacular. Well, the gunman entered the classroom and continued his killing spree, killed Jesse's beloved teacher, Miss Soto, and then the gun ran out of bullets. And during the time that it took for him to reload, Jesse called out to his friends that were standing across the room and told them to run. And they said that it was because he yelled run that they ran, and he was able to save 9 lives.
It's 9 lives.
Rousseau says he needs to hear the tapes for himself.
I think the more the public knows, and there will be less confusion, there will be less people making up stories about what happened.
When he got outside, he ran along the sidewalk to the firehouse, the way they had practiced in fire drills. It would have been much safer and quicker for him to run through the parking lot, but he was following the rules. When we finally saw the police report recently, we found out that the gunman had shot 9 bullets to the windows of Riken's classroom, past that same sidewalk that the kids were running down. And when Riken got to the firehouse, it was locked. It was a volunteer firehouse, and there was nobody there at that time of the morning.
Sandy Hook Fire Chief Bill Halstead says,
I happened to be here when a call came in. Actually, I heard a lot of sirens.
So they decided to just keep running until a woman saw the 4 of them and sat them down outside this yellow house. They were shouting and crying, and the man who owned the house came out and invited them in. And then Riken asked me, was it okay that I went into this man's house? I say, of course it's okay. He says, you tell me not to talk to strangers or go with people that I don't know. I reassure him he did the right thing.
Problem number 1, you get the bus driver bypassing the firehouse to take the kids to Gene Rose's house to sit on the dang ground. What kind of sense does that make? Then you got somebody supposed to be yelling at him, telling him it's gonna be all right, it's gonna be all right. Where is that man at? How come we haven't heard from him? How come we haven't heard from this irresponsible bus driver who let those kids go into a stranger's house? How come that irresponsible bus driver didn't take him to the firehouse? Again, emphasis on that. Because in a normal world, that's what the bus driver would have did. Because they're responsible for those kids. So the kids get in the house. Gene Rosen hears the horror stories of what happened to the kids. Don't know why the bus driver didn't tell Gene Rosen what happened, but he had to wait for the kids to actually tell him 30 minutes in. So Gene Rosen hears this, and what does he do? Call 911? Nope, he did not call 911 like the normal person would do. He didn't do that. He called the parents. Come on, man. This doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, well, I seen an article where he was talking about Sandy Hook truthers. And he was talking about how he has all this rageful about it. Both for the children and for the mother of the child who came to my house looking for a son. And I wanted to look at this guy and I just wanted to, what? He wanted to what? That's my rage.
Don't you mouth off to me or I'm gonna slap you right in your penis.
We're at the Assessor's Online Database for Newton, Connecticut, which is where Sandy Hook is located at. Here is Gene Rosen's house, okay? 22 Riverside Road. Wife named Marilyn, okay? Now let's move on down. This is says appraised value is $205,000. Says ownership history on 12/25/2009. Sales price 0. Okay. Now this ain't a fluke. Almost every house in the entire city.
And by the way, why is this guy raising money? Why is he raising money? All these jokers raising money? What is this, a big money scheme? Gene Rosen gotta get his due too?
Censored told the children to line up against the wall in the classroom because they heard a small amount of gunshots and that the teacher Censored was looking either out the door into the hall or out the window into the hall when the shooter busted in and was firing the gun in the room. Censored told his mother that he saw Censored fall down and stated that he saw the bullets or casings coming out of the gun. Censored stated that he was ducking behind a desk in the classroom and that the gunman had come in through the hallway door to the classroom. Censored stated that he and the other children ran while he was reloading. Censored advised that there was smoke in the hallway and that he saw blood and bodies in the hallway as well.
He saw Censored shot first, and then Censored, before he had run out of the classroom. Censored stated that Censored has been consistent with his details about the shooter kicking in the door, and has stated that the children that he ran with were Censored, but knows that there were other kids who also ran, just not in the group with him. Censored stated that Censored had just recently added the detail that, when the shooter came in the room, he pointed the gun individually at each person, but didn't say anything to anyone.
Censored is a first-grade student at Sandy Hook and was in Censored class of 16 students on the morning of December 14, 2012. Censored stated that the school day began as any normal day and they were going over meth when they heard what they thought was a loud hammer banging something. Then a man dressed in green and beige army clothes came into her classroom, didn't say anything and began shooting random people with his rifle. Censored said that the gunman shot Censored and her teacher's assistant who passed out from the shock and then the gunman shot her anyway. Censored stated that she didn't want to die, she wanted to live, so she ran the fastest she could with 4 male classmates and they were found by her mom's friend on the way to the firehouse.
After the morning meeting, they read the morning message on the smarts board in the classroom. Censored said he heard some loud noises coming from outside the classroom that he thought came from a hammer, and Censored told them to get to the back of the classroom. They all started to do that, when the classroom door banged open and a man with a gun came into the classroom. Censored described the man as tall and skinny with light skin and light brown beard that was short. He stated that he was wearing a green army-style hat with straps, a green shirt and camouflage pants. Censored described the man's gun as a long bazooka-style gun. He stated that the man shot Censored first, who was standing by the classroom windows, and she fell down. Censored stated that he and some of his classmates began running toward the classroom door to get outside, and that everyone was screaming. His classmate tripped by the door as they ran out. He did not see the man shoot any of the kids in the classroom, and the man never said a word. Censored saw 2 adults lying in the hallway outside the classroom, as they all ran toward the front door of the school. He stated that this is the route they take for fire drills, and that is why they went that way. When they got outside, they began to go toward the playground, but saw Censored Friend's mother and they told her what had happened. Censored stated that she told them all to get into her van and she brought them down to the police station.
Censored stated he is a censored in Censored's class, which according to Censored is just several doors down from the principal's office. He said they had just finished writing class when he heard loud shooting coming from the hall. After a few moments, the classroom door opened and a bad man entered the room and started shooting everyone in the class. Censored said the shooter was dressed in army clothes and was firing a bazooka. He thought the shooter had dark skin and a beard. Censored said he saw his teacher get shot and said she was dead. He also said he saw at least 2 of his classmates get shot and referred to them as dead as well. He said the shooter shot at him multiple times but missed, and instead struck Censored, which he had been holding in his hand. Censored said he dropped his stuffed animal and ran. Censored stated he ran out of his classroom, into the hall, and right past his principal Don Hotstrung, who was on the floor in the hallway dead. He said he exited the school and ran until a woman driven by saw him, stopped, picked him up, and drove him to the police station.
Censored said he was in the classroom and his classroom door was open when he began hearing loud noise come from outside his classroom. He recalled the intercom being on in the school and then he saw a white man with all green clothing and a green hat, with black boots, walk into his classroom carrying a gun. Censored described the gun as the man needed 2 hands to hold it. The man shot his gun all around in every direction. Censored said he thinks he heard about 10 shots but described them as very fast. The room then filled of smoke. He described the man as being the age of a dad when asked how old the shooter looked. He said the shooter said nothing, he just shot at glass and the kids around him. Censored then ran outside the class, where he saw his principal with blood on her outside the office. Censored said he heard more gunshots after he ran out of the classroom. He ran outside the school into the road with 5 other classmates. When they got to the road, the students were picked up by Censored's mom, who drove the kids to the firehouse.
Censored stated that he went to school today at the Sandy Hook School, where he is in Censored class. He states he was doing his morning work getting ready to do writing, when a man walked in. He was wearing a brown or camo shirt, brown pants, a hat that was like a sombrero but smaller that was also brown. He goes on to state that the man had a bazooka that was black, brown or camo. He was also wearing sunglasses. Censored goes on to state that the man didn't say anything. He stated he heard a banging sound that was like a hammer. Censored stated that he does not know who the man pointed the bazooka at. He continues stating that they ran out of the class. He stated that they ran and got into a car driven by a woman that Censored knew. In addition, Censored said that he saw bullets on the ground. He said they were yellow and the tips were red. On December 14, 2012 at approximately 11:30 hours, this detective was approached at the Sandy Hook firehouse by Censored, a student at Sandy Hook Elementary School, regarding the ongoing investigation. Censored advised that she did not know what the best course of action for the circumstances was, but that her son had witnessed his teacher being shot and wanted to talk to an officer and relay what he had seen. This detective asked the family to follow her outside and then asked Censored if he wanted to talk about what he had seen. Censored stated that he did. He is a Censored class at Sandy Hook Elementary School and was in his classroom at the time of the incident. Censored stated that he and his classmates had just started writing when they heard something loud out in the hallway. Censored stated that he thought that the loud noise was shouting. Censored stated that a guy kicked open the door and shot his teacher. Censored stated that the male shooter didn't say anything to anyone, and described the shooter as a white guy with a heavy winter-like brown jacket, and a green shirt underneath the jacket. Censored stated that he believed the man was wearing army green kind of pants, and described him as having dark hair, longer on top than on the bottom, with no beard or mustache. Censored was asked if the man was young or old and struggled with the answer, until he was aided by his mother, who asked if the male was younger or older than an acquaintance of their families, at which time Censored stated that the shooter was about the same age. Censored clarified that the male that she had used as a reference was in his 20s.
Censored stated that he and all the other kids ran out of the classroom and kept running out of the school building until they got picked up by a bus driver who drove them all to a house.
I heard two little boys screaming down the sidewalk, running, and one telling the other one to stop. They were running across the front of the firehouse, and a black car had pulled up to the firehouse, and the little boys were running screaming, one of them on a skateboard, and then I saw the police department go up, like 7 or 8 police cars, and then within 45 seconds I heard a bunch of shots going off. And the little boys were running, and then a gentleman come up the road looking for his 2 little boys. So I don't know if they found them. I hope they did. But they were scared to death. So they must have gotten out of school and took off and ran down the sidewalk because they were screaming down the sidewalk. And from there, all the police started coming, and that's about it. All this has been going on since.
Marilyn Gudsnuck's daughter told us that her mother, Marilyn, saw Gene Rosen at the firehouse at the time of the shooting when it was occurring, driving around looking for his kids.
So we're live at the home of Marilyn Gudsnuck, or what used to be the home of Marilyn Gudsnuck, and it appears as if the house is abandoned now. There's a for sale sign on the lawn. This is a little vantage point of where Marilyn Gudsnuck's house is in relation to the firehouse. So you can see the firehouse is right down the road. So that's what happened to Marilyn Gudsnuck.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last?
That's right, Major. You did.
I lied.
Anne-Marie Murphy, a teacher's aide who worked with special needs students, shielded 6-year-old Dylan Hockley with her body, trying to protect him from the bullets that killed them both.
Anne-Marie Murphy, the teacher's aide who worked with special needs students in Soto's classroom, was found covering 6-year-old Dylan Hockley, who also died.
We learned from New York Newsday that she was 52 when she died, shielding Dylan Hockley in her arms. Here's Anne-Marie in the first grade class picture on the lower right, taken in 2012. And on the left, you see her from a memorial video. Well, if she died in 2012 and they put up a memorial video, is this Anne-Marie Murphy, age 52 in both pictures? Is it even the same woman?
And according to the Sedensky report, it is believed the shooter killed himself at 9:40 a.m. Only around 6 minutes elapsed from the time Adam Lanza allegedly walked in the school and committed suicide.
Do you want to know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick.
State Police Emergency.
Hey, it's Barosi from Newtown. How are you?
Yep, good.
Do you guys hear what's going on in our town right now?
Active shooting.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
All right.
Help coming.
All right, thanks. Bye.
101, are you en route?
Do you know if there's anyone in school yet?
All right. Is it still going on, ma'am?
No. Is there anyone here yet?
I believe Newtown should be getting there shortly. If not, the priority there, trying to figure out a way in there. Now, the office where he is that in the main part of the building?
Yes, the first 2 front doors. That's the notice. That's what I heard. I don't know. Like, I could only hear through the loudspeaker. We could hear a little bit. So.
174, Roger. Roger, exit 10.
Exit 10, take a left onto Route
705, Roger.
Once again, exit 10, turn left on 34, continue on Riverside Road, and then a right on Dickerson Drive.
State Police Emergency.
We are at Shady Hook School in Newtown, Connecticut on Dickinson Street. There's shooting.
Okay, we got help
Please
coming.
hurry. Please hurry.
Is anyone hurt? Where do you see anyone?
We don't know. We don't know, but we smell fire from the
Do
gunshots.
you see the shooter?
No. We
Okay.
hear a man's voice.
Okay, just go in lockdown. You guys have a lockdown procedure?
We do, but
Okay.
the doors do not lock.
Okay, at this time, all the rooms are locked.
Yes. Okay.
I'm trying to hold the doorknob shut.
Okay. We got help coming, okay?
Okay.
State Police, 911, what's the location of your emergency?
Sandy Hook School.
You're in Sandy Hook?
Sandy Hook School.
Okay. All right. And where are you, ma'am?
In my classroom.
Okay. All right. You need to remain in your classroom.
Yes.
All right. Stay calm. You have children in the classroom with you?
Yes.
If you can push any kind of desk or anything in front of the door that's...
It's already locked. It's locked.
Okay. All right. Just remain where you are. All right. Help is on the way.
Okay, great.
All right. No one is injured in your room, right?
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
At one point, someone shook our door, but they didn't say anything, so I don't know who it was. I don't believe the shooter was ever in our side of the building. I know that our custodian had stayed in our hallway out the entire time.
Rich, I wanted to value that. Route 34 is at exit 11. S6. Roger. Get off exit 10, take a left on
Ma'am?
6, turn on.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it still going on?
No.
No.
Continue on
Okay.
Riverside Road, then a right on Dickerson Drive.
From what I heard, I think you're going to need a crisis.
Okay.
Soto and 4 children were found dead in the classroom, Soto near the north wall of the room with a set of keys nearby. One child was taken to the hospital, but was pronounced dead. According to the official report released by the state's attorney, 9 children ran from Soto's classroom and survived, while 2 children were found by police hiding in a class bathroom. In all, 11 children from Soto's class survived. 5 of Soto's students were killed.
When you're pushed, killing's as easy as breathing.